Great. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our students to our 2022 Law Professions Day. We are delighted to have our highly esteemed Dean of School of Law, Professor Manegay Reddy. Professor Reddy will open the virtual Law Professions Day session for 2022. Thank you and welcome, Professor Reddy.
Thanks very much, Jacinta. The director of our proceedings this morning, my colleague, Ms. Jacinta Tuhi, and the Director of Proceedings this afternoon, my colleague, Professor Warren Friedman, Mr. Yogendra Nodeya, Ms. Leila Akuwaya, and Ms. Sai Govender of Norton Rose Fulbright, Mr. Tabang Ratau of ENS Africa, Ms. Boipela Matadlana of Cliff Decker Hofmeyer, Mr. Tamsanka Sibiya and Ms. Asandile Ndlela of Benz Attorneys, Ms. Subhashni Gaunda of PPS Foundation, Ms. Sayuri Mudli of Weber Wenzel, Ms. Azola Indiza of Fatswane Henny Attorneys, Ms. Nicole Diamond of Pro Bono Organization, Mr. Emmanuel Hinson of Ilovo Sugar Africa, my colleagues in the School of Law, our students and their family members viewing the event online, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to our annual Law Professions Day. I'm exceptionally pleased and quite delighted that despite the ongoing challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, our students have not been denied the privilege and opportunity to engage with the leading law firms present today in preparation for their entry into the legal profession. Although our Law Professions Day format has changed somewhat since last year, we are confident that our students will still be able to reap the same benefits that the law firms here today have made available to our graduates in the past. We are especially grateful to these wonderful law firms for the ongoing support of our students over the years and for their help in setting up many of them to achieve great success in their careers. I'm also very proud to mention that in our midst this morning, we have several of our former students who are now partners and directors in leading law firms who have joined us today. This speaks to the caliber of the students from our law school and to the rigor of our LLB degree. Ladies and gentlemen, rest assured that despite our migration since 2020 to the online platform and the adoption of blended learning for our teaching and learning activities, this hasn't adversely affected our students' skill set and knowledge. In fact, our students have acquired additional skills such as the ability to conduct consultations and argue cases via the Zoom platform, which bodes very well for their future, as that's the direction in which the legal profession is heading. These are difficult economic times and unemployment is rife. I'm therefore incredibly grateful to every one of the firms and organizations present for providing our students with the possibility of employment. Thank you very much indeed for your kind gesture. I assure you that should you employ a graduate of this law school, the consequences are often far-reaching as entire communities and not just the individual's life is transformed. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all a very pleasant event, and I hope that we will meet again next year, but in person and under better circumstances. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jacinta.
Thank you very much, Professor Reddy. Students, today we have a host of law firms that are here to present some wonderful information that is to your benefit. So we would like to encourage you as you're listening to each firm to write down your questions and make sure that you put them into the Q&A chat box. And we will make sure that there is time allocated for these questions to be addressed. I'd like to ask each firm, when you are delivering your presentation, to please keep within the 30 minutes so that we also have provision within the 30-minute time frame for our students to be able to ask and have their questions answered. The other thing I want to highlight is that this event is being live streamed on Facebook as well as on Zoom. The sessions are recorded. So I also want to indicate to the students that whatever you are seeing today is not necessarily what you are going to be hearing again tomorrow. So please be ready for today as well as tomorrow's session. And having said that, I'd like now to invite our first law firm, that is Norton Rose Fulbright. We have with us Ugendran Odaya, Sai Govender, and joined with them is an HR graduate from recruitment team, that's Leila and Anne. Ugendran Odaya is the director, as well as a UKZN alumni. Sai Govender is also a UKZN alumni and currently working as a candidate attorney in rotation at the Corporate Mergers and Acquisitions Department at Norton Rose Fulbright. Welcome, Norton Rose Fulbright. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And thank you very much for that introduction. I saw a hand up for a second. I'm not sure if that was to you, Jacinta. I think it may have gone down. Perfect. Thank you very much. My name is Ugendran Odaya, and I am a director at Norton Rose Fulbright in the Corporate Mergers and Acquisitions team. And as Jacinta said, I'm joined on the line by my colleague, Sai Govender, who's a candidate attorney in our team. And we firstly would like to thank UKZN for this opportunity to present to the students. And really, we're going to try and make our presentation as interactive as possible. And we're trying to ensure that we share with you real life experiences, because we do understand that it is a transition from university life into the legal fraternity, and it is probably one of the most important steps as you progress throughout your career. And what we'd like to do is share with you a little bit of information regarding our firm, but more so we'd like to share with you what our personal experience has been at Norton Rose Fulbright, to ensure that when you do make the decision to take up articles, that you do so knowing well with what the experiences are like at the different firms. So it was probably just over 10 years ago that I walked into the blazing hot tent at UKZN PMB, handing out CVs frantically. And I remember that day, as if it was yesterday, and how times have changed. Now we're presenting virtually. You're probably going through all of these fancy application platforms, Leaply and the like, to send through applications, as opposed to printing out 30 copies of your CVs. And I think it just goes with the way times have changed, and what we need to ensure that we do in bring you forward as a candidate attorney is that your time as an article clerk is dealt with in the best possible way to give you the best experience and exposure. As I said, I'm a director in our Corporate Mergers and Acquisitions team, a former student of UKZN PMB, and it is a pleasure to present this to you. I'd like to just start off by effectively a quote and a theme that we take forward from our professional recruitment team, which states, "Our investment in the process of recruiting the best students across the country is extensive. As a result, our recruitment driver is long-term focus. We do not seek to employ CAs for a 2-year contract. We recruit candidates who we hope will become peers and directors." And I think that's really, it's testament to the way in which Norton Rose carries out their recruitment process, as well as your period as an article clerk while you're at the firm. Yes, we are concerned about ensuring that you get the best level of experience and guidance and learning while you're an article clerk, but we also try and earmark those candidates who we want to eventually see as associates, senior associates, and then directors within the firm. And we do have currently a number of the quality younger directors in the firm who have worked their ways up the ranks because of this view that we have in employing our candidate attorneys. I joined the firm as a candidate attorney in 2014, and as I say, worked up the ranks and was promoted to a director at the beginning of 2021. And what is great, and from a personal experience perspective, is throughout my journey at the firm, the discussion with the HR team, with my reporting directors, with the management committee, supervisory board, has always been, what can we do and how can we work together to focus on your long-term growth? What is the long-term focus, and what can we do to get you to become a director, to grow your client base, and to ensure that you develop as an attorney within the space that we provide to you? And I think that's quite important when you're looking at choosing a law firm to do your articles at, because at the end of the day, you want to ensure that once you've completed your articles, it's not just a situation of you leaving going and getting admitted and then not really knowing what you're doing after that. So always keep that in mind when choosing a law firm to do your articles at. Just a little bit about Norton Rose Fulbright, for those of you who do not know. So we have offices in 6 continents across 35 countries with over 50 offices, and approximately more than 3,700 lawyers and other legal staff providing a full business law service to national and international clients. And in terms of Acritas, we're part of the top 5 global brand leader. We're the top 50 employer for women, and we have been rated as the best place to work for LGBT equality. And I think, our global reach at Norton Rose Fulbright really gives you exposure as an attorney to work with not only colleagues across offices in South Africa, but across the various jurisdictions. So myself, for example, in the time that I've been in the firm, I've been exposed to a number of transactions, not only in South Africa, but working with colleagues from our UK offices, from our Singapore offices, from our US offices. And what's great is that you could work on a transaction where it's a global transaction, where there are various individuals from different offices who pull in together with their shared resources to effectively conclude a transaction. And I think that really is amazing because it does give you the exposure to the different jurisdictions and to working with different people. And what I find great about it is that we're able to do it seamlessly, and it's often a message that we receive from our clients that whether they're dealing with our South African office, with our UK office, our US office, what is amazing is that the product that they receive is of a similar quality and standard. And I think that's quite nice. And there's also the other perks. Obviously, COVID-19 has affected that slightly, but the other perks such as traveling to our other offices, being involved in global clients. For example, as an associate, I spent time working out of our Greek office with a client based up there. So, there are very many opportunities which are available to you being part of a global law firm like Norton Rose Fulbright. So our principles, I think it's always important in choosing a law firm to make sure that you understand the principles and the culture of the firm, because at the end of the day, that will affect how you as an individual feel within the firm and how comfortable you are at working in it. So at Norton Rose Fulbright, we base our practice around 3 main principles, and these are namely quality, unity, and integrity. And just to explain these a bit, quality, we strongly believe that clients come first. We've got to consistently provide high quality legal services. We pride ourselves in being industry experts, whilst ensuring that we provide commercial and pragmatic approaches to the way in which we do work, and ensuring that we provide innovative solutions by employing the best people who are able to merge all of these qualities together. Unity, I think, is probably one of my favorite principles in the firm that we exercise, and that is really the way we work, our team culture, the way we're united, not only across offices within the country, but across offices around the globe, and the way that we have a common value and common cultures across the different offices. And integrity is really, as Norton Rose Fulbright, we value our people. We have the highest professional, ethical, and business standards. And we ensure that our individuals, our lawyers, our candidate attorneys, our employees are trustworthy, and we have an open and fair engagement with the various people at Norton Rose Fulbright. I think some of that will filter through in the experiences that we share with you, just to see that these are not just words that we put up there and things that we talk about once a year, but Sai and I will both share with you real life experiences of how we actually see and we live and we experience these principles playing out. So at Norton Rose Fulbright, we have headlights and practice groups, and the headlights really are our key industry strengths. They are primary routes to the market, and our headlight strategy enables us to differentiate ourselves in a crowded legal marketplace to compete with the largest global legal practices. So just a little bit more about the headlights and practice groups, and this will also just give you an idea of the type of work that we do at Norton Rose Fulbright. So our global industry groups, also known as headlights, are financial institutions, which look at asset and wealth management, banks, financial investors, insurance. The energy headlight, which looks at power and transmission, renewable energy, sustainability and climate change, and oil and gas. Infrastructure, mining and commodities, looking at infrastructure, mining, commodities, food, and agribusiness, which is becoming ever so more popular. Our transport headlight, which looks at aviation, rail, shipping. We also then look at technology and innovation, which is becoming increasingly popular, looking at business services, communications, media and entertainment, consumer markets and technology, and then life sciences and healthcare. So that's really looking at pharmaceuticals and life sciences and healthcare services. In addition to that, we have various practice groups at Norton Rose Fulbright, such as business law, banking and finance, CMA, dispute resolution, IP, employment and labor, real estate, tax, antitrust and competition. And we also have our risk advisory practice group, which is a bit of a hybrid one between the two. So really from a Norton Rose Fulbright perspective, being a global law firm, having various headlights and practice groups that we have, the different offices, you really will see yourself, being employed in a fully fledged business law firm, which is able to service you across different areas. And what's amazing about that is that on one transaction that we're working on, we could involve individuals from various practice groups, and you will then have exposure to learning about these different practice groups as you work through your articles. Just going to hand over to Sai, who will take you through our application process, and then back over to me. Thanks.
Hi, guys. I just want to start off by saying thank you to UKZN for the opportunity, because I loved my 4 years of being there. It was really special. It's a very special place to me. So it's an honor to be here today. I was once a student that was actually attending these, not like this, because I was pre-COVID and I graduated just before COVID hit. So I think it was OMSH. Yes, I know I called it OMSH. A lot of people didn't like that. It was Old Mutual, where where the career fair was held. And I loved walking around and hearing what everyone had to say. And I was like, one day I want to be that person inspiring younger students about the legal career. And so I'm really grateful. Okay, so my full name is actually very long. My name is Saishwari Govender, but I go by Sai. It's quick to say, it's quick to hear, and it's quick to remember. So I'm Sai, and I'm currently serving my first rotation as a candidate attorney 1, which means I'm in my first year of rotations at Norton Rose Fulbright, and I am part of the CMA team, which is Corporate Mergers and Acquisitions. I know that's a mouthful. I felt it when I first heard it, but you know what? It's great. I work under UKZN as one of my directors, and I work under another director and associate. So as UKZN said, it's really thriving and thrilling, because my 2 directors do different work, but then they also combine work. So I get the best of both separation and combination of expertise. I'm going to take you guys through the application process, because believe it or not, I just got out of it. I'm not that old, and because I just started in January. So firstly, guys, I really want to spend a little bit of time on Leaply. So important, guys. I cannot stress this enough. If you do not have Leaply, after this seminar, please go and log on to Leaply, create your application, or you can visit our portal at Norton Rose Fulbright, like it says on the screen. But Leaply, guys, Leaply is your first port of call for your application process. As weird as it sounds to say, but I do mean this in some sense, you are selling yourself. You are marketing the person that you are. You are marketing your worth, your work ethic, your personality, your capacity, and your capabilities. And that shows the moment you click that submit button. The truth is that I spent 43 minutes on my application, 43 whole minutes on my application on Leaply. And I took time. When you open up your Leaply and you start on your application, please remember these words. Take your time, read through everything that the firm is asking of you, submit your documents as efficiently as possible, put them in the right places as well. I'm sure you heard this several times in campus when they would say to you, write in your exams, efficiently, concisely, and neatly, because examiners are going through thousands of papers. So make their life easier. Our recruitment team goes through hundreds of applications. So be that one person that stands out, where our recruitment team opens up that Leaply application and they're like, everything is neat here. This person has full sentences. Grammar is correct. When try and avoid spelling as much as possible. I know not everyone can spell Worcestershire sauce, but that's not important for this right now. So your first port of call, spend your time on that Leaply application. Once you're done, then that's in your control. If the recruitment team, you pique their interest, then you get called for a first interview. The first interview is with the graduation team, the recruitment graduation team, and it's really cool. It's very chilled vibe. They just want to get to know who you are. And my experience actually throughout all of my interviews and even the VAC work and induction is that they just want to get to know who you are. They want to know, who is Sai? Why is Sai here? Does Sai know why Sai is here? So it's important to know why you're applying and who you're applying to and what your purpose is or what you feel your role is that you can fulfill. So once you go through the first round of interviews, if you're successful, you get called for a second round of interviews. And this is generally with a director who is part of the professional recruitment team. Very, very chilled people as well. This is a bit more of a formal interview. They just want to see who you are. They do discuss, some legal stuff, academics, but overall, it's just getting to know who are you. If that's successful, you go on to the VAC work program. So last year, it was a completely virtual program due to COVID, but it was still just as fun, just as interactive. The networking was real, guys. I know it was just a screen, but it was real. Layla did an amazing job. And you meet directors, you meet associates, candidate attorneys that are already working with the firm. You also go through a series of assignments that you do. So you get crash courses, and then they ask you to do assignments. And this is quite important because this is you showing your practical skills. In university, if you don't do a lot of VAC work programs, it's a lot of theory. So now is your time to shine and put that theory into a practical assignment and use your logical sense. So, my favorite part of the VAC work program, leave that aside, was the games night and all the Harry Potter questions that we got asked. So everyone got together the one night, and it was planned by the recruitment team, and we just did a whole lot of game nights. They asked us questions about Norton and not Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, and a whole bunch of stuff. And that was super fun. It was great to network with a bunch of the graduation team, the recruitment program team. So once you're successful with the vacation work program, then a potential offer comes along, and then the whole ball gets rolling with induction. So as you can see on the screen, guys, like I said, Leaply or visit the Norton Rose program, create your profile. Take your time and create that profile. If you're spending less than 20 minutes on it, guys, it's just not good enough. Come on, you're worth more than 20 minutes. I'm worth 43 minutes. So you're probably worth a lot more because you're like the strong COVID team here that's been thriving through studying with this environment. So you're worth a lot more than 43 minutes. Then your interviews, like I said, is super chilled. So guys, please could you get to applying as soon as possible? Like I said, as soon as the seminar is done, hop onto Leaply or hop onto the Norton Rose page, because as you can see on the screen, we do have availability. We've got slots, but it gets filled up so fast. And like I said, the recruitment team goes through so many applications at a time, and you want to be able to give yourself your best shot. That is in your control. Taking the time to apply as soon as reasonably possible is in your control. Everything else, it's a domino effect. You end up where you're meant to be, but you want to be here. Let's talk about the VAC work program, guys. So like I said, 1 week, 5 days, jam-packed of information. You meet a whole lot of new people that have different experiences from other law firms. It's really cool because you get to meet people from like Rhodes and Wits, and I'm working with people from UP and Wits, and it's really nice, very interactive. Like I said, I'm not sure what your experience would be for this year, but I'm leaning towards it being a virtual program, again, just for, safety reasons and to make sure everyone is comfortable, but things could change. The VAC work program is very beneficial for both the recruitment team and for you, because you also want to see, can I work with these people? Can I work with this firm? What is the firm culture like? And I will get to that in a moment.
Cool. So thanks very much. I know that we want to leave some time for questions, answers. So we'll quickly just go through our experience at the firm. And I think the best way to do so is through some pictures. So the photo on the extreme left is a very young Ugendran with another candidate attorney as we started, Bryce Perrott. Both of us have worked through the ranks. Both of us are now directors at the firm. And I say very young, I mean, it was only about 7 years ago. So, you're not that much younger than me, okay? Then next to that is a photo of myself with our global chair, Andrew Robinson. And this was during November. So every year the firm, pre-COVID, every year the firm globally participates in the Movember Challenge, just to show you the fun side of life and how we enjoy times at Norton Rose. And the middle photo, you may be wondering what that is with the BMW Mags. That's our global charity initiative, which is our global tea trolley. Effectively, what we did is to raise funds for global charities. We were selling, practically running a tuck shop at the office and selling teas and coffees and those types of things. So just, to give you an idea of the way in which we work. And it really is an open door policy. Everyone gets along really well. There's no sir, ma'am type of situation. We're all on a first name basis, still with the mutual respect that we have. But that really allows you to grow and learn and creates an environment where you're comfortable to ask questions at any level, which is really key as a candidate attorney. As Sai said, she's a first rotation candidate attorney working with 2 directors, associates, but she's gelled in so well. And I think that's really just because of the firm culture. And really, we believe in paying it forward. So the way that I treat Sai is the way that I was treated as a candidate attorney, and I'd expect her to do the same as she moves up the ranks. Yes. And then just some other photos here. The photo on the left is effectively a photo of us visiting a client for a site visit. We're about the law, but we're also practical. So we like to know how clients run their businesses. We take, the chance to have these opportunities to learn more, which I think is quite interesting. The photo on the right of that was a transaction that I was involved in and led. And I think why I put that photo up there is this was prior to me becoming a director, still at the stage of being a senior associate, effectively being given the support by senior directors and being told, listen, you run with this transaction, you effectively take it on and we'll support you in the background to the extent necessary. But, it's an opportunity that was given to me, which I really value because I'm not sure that many law firms would give a transaction of such a high magnitude to, at that time, a 28-year-old to run with. So I think that's just a quick snip of my experience. Sai, maybe you're going to take us through, so you've got some photos up as well.
Yes. Okay. So that group of people there are my fellow CA1s. And guys, the support that I have from them is insane. I'm so grateful for this group, and we've become quite close as well. That's the picture of the firm when I hit 1 month being here. I took that just as a remembrance for myself. And when I'm not at the firm, so we understand with COVID, not everyone is open to jumping right back into a work at the office type of situation again. So we do take into consideration your comfortability. And there are times where you can say, I'd like to work from home. And it's allowed. It really is allowed. As you can see, I live right by the ocean. So my home office is a beautiful view, but then also my work office is also with a beautiful view of the ocean. So, I get the best of one world, sort of just like in different sides of the world. And that was a picture of me on our first day. We had professional photos taken, and that was really, really fun because we were also tense, and it eased up the emotions and the stress at that point. But yeah, my experience at the firm, the first word that comes to my mind, truthfully, is humble. The people that I have come across here from day one till right now is just humble. There are people here that we work hard, but we also play hard. Like the CA1s, we get together sometimes on a Friday and we're just like, do you just want to go grab a pizza? And that's nice. And some of the CA2, so the second year candidate attorneys, they join us. So there's no sort of hierarchy or boundary or barrier, like, you've been here longer, so, I've got to show you a little bit extra respect. The respect goes both ways, and it's on the same plane, which is so important, guys. I look forward to so many things coming to work apart from the actual workload and the expertise that I get from both my directors. And it's small pockets of peace for me. For example, every single day when I'm sitting at my desk, anyone that walks past my desk without a fail will be like, hello, Sai, good morning. How are you? What's the agenda for today type of thing. everyone's so sweet, so conversational, from your support staff to even, you know, someone who's really superior. Like I told you again the other day, I was speaking to someone who's really, really superior in our firm, and I didn't know. He didn't say it. He didn't feel the need to say it, and I didn't know. And it was awesome because he treated me with the same respect that he's treated other colleagues. I've seen it, and I got that. And that's really important for me. That's my pocket of peace. And also it's the small conversations that you have when you're making tea and coffee in the rooms when you've been here for so long. And you think that these small things don't matter. Or you think, sorry?
Sorry, it's Jacinta here. We have 3 minutes left. I was really hoping if you'd be able to assist some of the students, because we've got quite a few questions that have come up.
No problem.
And, just so that we keep within the time, I'm really sorry to cut you off.
Fine.
Just have a look, see if we could tackle some of the questions, because I think that what you are saying is so important, and maybe it could speak into some of these aspects as well, just with what you are saying at the moment. Yeah, thank you so much.
Sure, no problem. Okay,
I'm going to try and highlight as many questions
answered
as many as I can, but we'll take a few here. Would pursuing an LLM gain you more advantage in terms of being admitted as a candidate attorney? My thing is no. But
no, it's not. It's not. No, it doesn't. It's great if you want to pursue it, but pursue it for the right reason. Pursue it because you want to pursue it, not because you want to get like 2 feet in the door before you even get 1 foot just starting to walk. So I don't think so.
Agreed.
Absolutely agreed. All right, so I'm going to take one more. I think I've answered as many as I can, and then you guys can close up. But if you can elaborate more on what you did during vacation work.
Okay, so during vacation work, we got to meet the recruitment team. We got to meet fellow CAs, and we did crash courses on, you know, how to review agreements as a basic structure for the assignments that we were given. We got a crash course on the house style. So if you don't know what house style is, it's the way that your firm basically drafts all the documents and agreements for clients, etc. That was really nice. And we also did something fun on the last day. It was called Dragon's Den. We were put into groups, and that was our Dragon's Den. We were given a topic, and then we presented. Not like a moot, super chilled presentation, but that was really fun. That was the 5 days, yeah.
And then Leila, I think I'm just going through and just looking through some of the questions as well. I think I just want to address, you know, what is it that we're trying to look for? I see as a general theme, there's questions of what type of person are we looking for? How can we make our applications better? You know, those types of things. I think as a law firm, I mean, I think if anyone tells you that they would not look at, you know, marks of individuals, then they'd be lying to you. The reality is everyone does look at your marks. So, you know, that's obviously a key factor, and I won't go into that too much. I think what's more important, or at least equally important at the firm, is we look at the type of people. Remember that we are people's people. That's a reality of it. We engage with people. We need to be able to converse. We need to be able to really get along with people, because at the end of the day, that's what we do as lawyers, whether you're a commercial lawyer, whether you're a litigator. And that's what we look for, a person who's able to fit into the firm, fit into the culture, who's not just only book smart, but can also be street smart. And I think that's quite important, and show us that in your application process. So, you know, if you give us marks that are 90%, but you don't show us what you do outside of the work environment, that doesn't show us what type of a rounded person you are. And maybe that'll come out in your interview. And I think that's quite important. Back work applications, all of that. Sorry, go ahead, Leila.
Sorry to interrupt again. I just want to add on to that, because I think you will misunderstand what Sai is trying to say when she says also spend a lot of time on your application. It doesn't mean that you need to put a bulk of information in pages and pages and pages. You just need to you need to try and summarize everything you're trying to say in shorter snippets, because if you are putting yourself in the shoes of recruitment, screening thousands of applications, we want to see a brief summary of who you are and not pages and pages that we have to go through. So that's just one tip from my end, because I do look at thousands of CVs, and it helps if I can just get a snapshot. A lot of people are asking, how do you answer these questions on Leaply? Keep it short, keep it sweet. We will determine if we want to interview, not only based on the questions, but, you know, your marks get considered, extracurriculars. So when we say well-rounded, we mean, are you involved on campus, off-campus activities? Are you part? And by this, I mean, you know, we don't want you to be the chairman of the Law Society, but are you involved in a choir or sports or anything else? So tell us, you know, pique our interest. We are very personal. We get to know you on a personal level because we can train you to be excellent lawyers. But we want to see that the culture fit is there and that you can work in teams, etc. Sorry, I think I'm running over now.
Jacinta, if you will, just one more minute from my side. You know, grades are important. Is it too late to apply VAC work? It's never too late. So apply, send through your application. I think that's important. Are you too old? Is there age perspective? No, we've got some candidate attorneys who are 40-year-olds. So, you know, that's definitely a case. Do you have to do VAC work to secure PVT? No, I did no VAC work at the firm. I did one interview. I did a CV that I handed, and I did one interview. I was offered articles the same afternoon. I'm not saying that that's what Layla's going to do with everyone, but the point is that just because you haven't been offered VAC work doesn't mean that you're not going to be offered a position necessarily. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jacinta.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you so much again, John. Thank you, Sai, and thank you, Layla. That was Norton Rose Fulbright. And as you can see, students, they have not just a local footprint, but also a national, international footprint. I think if you are a successful candidate, you can certainly be assured that you're going to be afforded exciting opportunities. But I think just make sure that you are taking down the link for the Leaply link, and that is to get through your application process, and make sure you've taken notes as to how to ensure that you have actually completed that application process properly. So I hope that that was beneficial to you. We are now moving over to ENS Africa, and I'd like to welcome Mr. Thabang Ratau. Thabang is our senior HR business partner from ENS Africa, who is responsible for the graduate programs at ENS. Welcome, Thabang, over to you. I'd like to remind students that we are trying our very best to answer your questions. So Thabang, I'm going to ask you, please, if you can leave some time at the end, just before your 30 minutes are up, to ensure that you tackle the students' questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jacinta. I think, yeah, we'll try to split it. Not bore people too much with a long presentation, but then we'll kick into some of the questions that they'll have for us. I've also got a colleague who is looking at the chat to answer some of the questions as they come in. Thanks for that introduction. My name is Thabang from ENS Africa. I will be sharing my screen, as I'm sure you guys are used to everybody doing that now. Let me pop this up. Jacinta, if you wouldn't mind just confirming that you can see the UKZN presentation, PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, thank you so much. I think it just needs to be on slide share.
Yeah,
thank
no
you.
problem. Let's just have a look here. Are we all good?
Good, thank you.
All right, fantastic. Cool. So ENS Africa. So I think first things first is that we are a commercial law firm. We are a large commercial law firm. And then I'm sure over the course of today and tomorrow, you'll be meeting a number of our colleagues. I call them colleagues from different law firms, much like Layla and her team at Norton Rose. We also are a large commercial law firm with a slight difference in that we are an African law firm. We've got a footprint not only in South Africa, but we're also in Namibia, Mauritius. I haven't been lucky enough to go to Mauritius yet, but happy to work there anytime they would like me to. We're also in Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Ghana. And the reason for that is with the development of Africa and a lot of need for the development not only of our laws, but of course with the projects that are happening on the continent and the investment that's coming into the continent that are done by corporates that are coming from the West, the East. We want to make sure that we are positioned to do the corporate law work in these regions. The really cool thing about being an African law firm with a wide African footprint is that we can then do work in East Africa, South Africa, as well as West Africa from a sub-Saharan Africa perspective, and then do some of the best corporate work that you can find on the continent. What typically happens is that a client will come in to a jurisdiction looking to maybe provide financing for a development of a project, or a mining deal or anything like that. And ENS Africa would be competing with some of the larger international law firms based in London and New York and China to do the corporate work on the continent, and which is quite good, because that means that our practitioners are working on international matters with a local relevance, and that's something that's really key about us. We are Africa's largest commercial law firm. We've got over 600 practitioners. I think that's a bit of a small army. And then cumulatively, we've got over 200 years of experience. It says we've got 12 offices in 7 jurisdictions, and that's because we've got a few offices in Namibia and the same in South Africa. But I've also spoken a bit about our positioning across the continent. Now, with regards to law firms, for you to know if a law firm is as good or not, you typically look at the practitioners that they've got and also their expertise. However, we take it a little bit of a step further with publications such as Deal Makers and Legal 500 and Chambers Global, having a view that is actually taken from our clients, but having a view on our firm based on the experience that our clients have. And some of the feedback that our clients provide to us is that they enjoy the fact that we've got, we're a massive law firm, but not just massive in size, but also we've also got great depth of knowledge into the specific practice areas that we practice in. I mean, we'll touch on some of the practice areas coming up in the next following slides. But really, the size of the law firm, the footprint across the continent, as well as the depth of knowledge, is something that clients find very key for them to do business on the continent. I want to also stress, for instance, that yes, we're speaking here, and then I'm based in Johannesburg in South Africa, and with South African lawyers, of course, in South Africa. In the different jurisdictions that we practice in, we've got lawyers in those jurisdictions. So we've got South African lawyers practicing, South African Ghanaian lawyers practicing in Ghana, and the same across Rwanda and the other offices that we've got. But the really good thing about not only having locally based lawyers and qualified lawyers, while also having this larger law firm of interconnected lawyers, is that expertise is shared across the board, right? So for instance, if let's say there's an intellectual property matter that is being dealt with in Uganda, and maybe it's the first of its kind, because sometimes it does happen in some of these jurisdictions where it's the first of its kind. However, South African lawyers might have experience on that matter. We simply share the matter and deal with it as a firm. Doesn't really matter where the individual attorneys working on the matter are based. And that's how interconnected we are. So if for instance, let's say one of the top litigators in the country is based in Cape Town, a client in Ghana has access to them. And that's something that's really, really key, right? That interconnectedness is really, really good. And what it means for people coming into the firm is that you're not just dealing with lawyers who are only looking at the local situation, but really looking at how business is working across the continent. Cool. Now, Deal Makers, as well as Chambers Global and Legal 500 that I spoke about a little bit earlier, have awards ceremonies where they give specific awards to practitioners and teams on specific matters. And quite recently, the firm was responsible for being part of the Deal of the Year, which is Vodacom's acquisition of 55% stake of Vodafone Egypt. This deal was worth 41 billion rand. The other Deal of the Year that we won locally is the Private Equity Deal of the Year, which Acorn Agri and it was Acorn Agri and Foods acquisition of Ascendus Animal Health. And I'm not just sharing this with you just for the sake of sharing it with you or showing you our expertise and prowess, if you will. However, both these deals actually had a solid UKZN footprint on them, because the lead lawyer on that Private Equity Deal of the Year is Lydia Shadrack-Rosino, and she's actually a UKZN alumnus rather. And in fact, because of her leading her team on that Ascendus matter, she was actually recognized as the deal maker, the individual deal maker of the year. She's a corporate commercial attorney in the firm. The thing that is possibly the most significant about this award being won is that she is the first female to receive this prestigious award. And we're very blessed to have her as an attorney in our firm, working not only on great deals, but also making sure that those who are coming after her in her team are also very well trained and exposed to really, really great matters. Now, in terms of UKZN's overall footprint on the firm, we've got about 37 practitioners in the firm currently. We've also got some in our pipeline for the upcoming Canada legal practitioner intakes. But as you can see, the bulk of them are sitting at executive and director level, where we've got 21 in total there, but we've got a good pipeline of practitioners. It's also quite well balanced across the genders. Now, I've looked at the qualifications that a lot of these practitioners have, and because, of course, they're practitioners that joined us recently and some who have joined us a couple of decades ago, you'll see that there's a great variety in the qualifications that have been completed at UKZN. I see there on my list, we pretty much have the law qualifications, the masters and the bachelors of law. Some practitioners have coupled that LLB with a social sciences or Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Commerce degree. For some of the older practitioners, some of them have completed a BRE-Proc degree. And in our IP and intellectual property department, a number of our practitioners have completed both the LLB and a Bachelor of Sciences at UKZN. I see there on the list, there is one more line that's missing there, and that's practitioners who have completed a CASA, because in our tax department, we've actually got a mix of both people who are qualified as lawyers and chartered accountants. Now, the other thing that's really good to know is that the relevance of the UKZN LLB and the various qualifications isn't just pretty much based in one area of law for us, but it's relevant across many different practice areas, as you can see there, from property to shipping, project finance and development tax, corporate commercial, intellectual property, and the rest of that list. So the other thing that I've also noticed is that our practitioners who are also UKZN alumni actually spread across the firm, at least in South Africa, in the major offices across Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Durban. So if you are coming from UKZN and joining the firm, you're not going to be just boxed in to one office or one practice area, but your experience can be broad. And what's key about the slide as well is that you need to know that your qualification is really, really relevant across different areas of law within commercial law. Cool. And then next up is a slide of all of our candidate legal practitioners as well as trainees across the continent. And those lovely young faces are made up of individuals, of course, who are across our Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Durban offices, as well as Rwanda, Accra, Namibia in Nairobi. Sorry, rather Nairobi, and of course in Namibia in Windhoek. But these are all our new trainees who are very, very happy to have in the firm and hope that they'll have very long careers in the firm. Now, let's break down what is available to you guys as UKZN students. Of course, long term, if you want to be admitted as a legal practitioner, an attorney, however you want to have commercial experience and have a career in commercial law, we are very open to receiving your applications for our practical vocational training. Of course, as a large law firm, and I've given you some of the feedback that we've gotten from our clients, as well as recognition and awards, we really provide our practitioners with cutting edge and complex matters, right? The matters aren't necessarily easy, but they're really, really beneficial to the individual's development because they are very complex. Our CAs will always have to do really in-depth research, need to know how to work as part of a team and all that, but they glean quite a lot of experience from the matters that they work on. But some of the things that set us apart in the firm is that we've got a comprehensive induction program. Our induction program probably runs about 2 months. No, not 2 months, 2 weeks. However, we also have some early programs that we run in October of the preceding year from rather in your final year. So the year preceding you joining the firm, where we really get you set up and signed up and get you prepared for life at work. Now, induction doesn't only work on more technical skills to get you up and running on using the firm's systems, all the different templates and precedents that we've got available, how to use the library and all that. Those are very technical skills, but something that's really key to us because we work in teams is to also make sure that we give you some of the softer skills and interpersonal skills to help you perform well in a team-based environment, as well as in a virtual environment, which is what we're relying on because of the pandemic. The other thing that we provide our new CLPs are qualified life coaches who help us with some broad training in induction, but also provide individual training and sessions to each individual CLP over the course of the first year of articles. Of course, you get continuous training that is broad general training in the firm that is available every month, but in your departments, you will also get to do a lot of training and get in-depth knowledge from other practitioners. You'll probably also be part of the training where from time to time, you might do some research and present to the rest of the department. We've also got in-house PLT, where you get to do the Law Societies course that will prepare you for board exams. Of course, my team is available to provide guidance and support throughout the process of registering your contract of articles all the way through to your admission as an attorney. So we really assist you with that. And of course, we've got comprehensive employee benefits, which include medical aid, but also what we provide through our employee benefits is psychosocial support through access to psychologists and counselors, as well as individuals who are able to assist you if there are any challenges that you're facing with if you're facing any financial challenges, as well as any legal challenges. All right, but of course, you will start your articles at the end of your time at UKZN. But while you are at UKZN, you've got an opportunity to join us for vacation programs. We run 2 vacation programs each year. We run it in the winter break between semesters and at the end of the year. So typically in July as well as in November/December. And what you'll get there is an opportunity to do a lot of job shadowing. We do moot court, then lots of talks that you will be part of. You'll get to work in teams with the other students, VAC students. You'll get to see how our approach to pro bono. You'll complete assignments that will probably stretch you quite a bit, and then stretch your knowledge in the law, but would be really beneficial for you to understand the types of work that we do. Now, of course, over the last 2 years, we've had to pivot and then provide a virtual vacation program. And going into this year, we're hoping we would be able to have our vacation programs in person again. However, we're very capable of continuing and running a virtual vacation program should the situation require it. Now, quick tips in terms of applying for articles and for our vacation programs. As much as articles you'll only commence at the end of your studies, you must apply for vacation programs and articles. Articles, practical vocational training, I use those terms interchangeably. And you apply for those while you are studying. It's really key that you apply as early as possible. If you're doing a 4-year LLB, start applying from your 2nd year. If you're doing a BA or BCom law before, or BSoc Sci with law before going to a postgrad LLB, please apply in your 3rd year of your undergrad. And if you're going to be doing a postgrad law, by all means, start applying as soon as you're in your 3rd year, or at least your penultimate year. What you want to try do is, for instance, if you want to commence articles in 2024, you want to make sure that you start about 2 years, maybe 3 years before you actually are set to commence your articles, and do your best to get as many applications out by the end of your 3rd year, because typically with the large commercial law firms, that's the period where we consider most of the applications and really sign people up. That doesn't mean you're excluded from applying while you are in your final year. For instance, at ENS, we keep our applications open. So we're very happy to consider you for articles a little bit later in your studies. However, I would strongly suggest that you apply earlier and secure your articles a lot earlier. What you can look forward to once you've made your application is that, of course, we will screen your applications. You'll go through a couple of rounds of interviews. You'll complete group assignments, because it's important for us to see you working in a team. Presenting is something that's important, as well as seeing how well you write and form a legal opinion is key. Our psychometric evaluations give us an insight into your personality and how you like to work. As I've stressed many times, we do work in teams, so it's not a test you can fail. It just gives us a little bit greater insight into things that we don't typically ask in interviews. And then this is going to be my last slide, and then I think I'll pause here and open it up for questions. But this is how you apply. You can do either one of two things. You can either go onto our website and click on trainees and then apply that way. It's simple. You don't have to set up a profile or anything like that. Your application will be very quick. What I would suggest is go to the website first, have a look at the documents that we need you to attach. Alternatively, take out your phones, take a picture of this slide, because those are the documents that we'll need. And then, yeah, all you simply do is attach those documents to an application form. There's no passwords or anything like that that you need to create, or profiles. It's very quick. You'll be done in a couple of minutes. Alternatively, if you want to still go a bit old school, we don't really suggest it, but you're welcome to send us an email at graduates@ensafrica.com if you have any challenges uploading certain documents. Cool. And that's it for me. Maybe let's have a look at some of the questions that you guys have sent. Jacinta, how would you like to do this? Would you like to read some of the questions, or should I just read them for myself and answer them?
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah, you do have about 5 minutes left. So I've just picked out one or two that I think we might have missed. So you're welcome also. I think Lombusa is also addressing some of them in the Q&A chat box. So maybe if I could ask for about 3 minutes for you to tackle some of the questions that you picked up in the
for sure.
the box as you see
for
there.
Sure.
And then in the meantime, one of the things I just want to highlight is it's so good that you have emphasized students must apply as early as possible. And another aspect that you've highlighted is in the process of your selection and recruitment is assessing the student's written evaluation. I think in a student's LLB undergraduate studies, one of the things the academics try to highlight to the students throughout their studies is this aspect of research and writing. And I see you've highlighted there that legal opinion is important, setting that up. What would you say is important for a student in their studying, or at least in attaining their LLB degree, some of the key components, perhaps maybe even for yourself or for other students that might have neglected it in their studying process, something that they really need to place emphasis on in preparing themselves for that application and securing that job. And I'm alluding towards, key competency analysis when they are preparing for their assignments and their assessments. Thank you.
Sorry, Jacinta, it was cutting out a little bit, but I think I caught a solid portion of your question. I think, while students are on campus, I know law firms speak about like your marks needing to be good and all that. But I've started thinking about this as someone who studied recently. You see, your marks give you, of course, an opportunity to show your academic ability, but also give an indication of how well you know the content. And that also tells us that, there's of course some behaviors that you need to have in order for you to achieve great academics at universities. And having good marks kind of tells us that, hey, this person prioritizes and understands the value of their qualification, has, put in the necessary measures to manage the complexity of managing all the different modules and doing their best. How you write, of course, is very key because it gives us an indication of your use of language. And man, I mean, I just work in HR, but I know that lawyers have a very strong command of the English language, so it's very, very important. And it's not something that you can, figure out as you go. Just make sure you write well in legalese, yeah, but also write well in plain language. I think if you're able to take a very complex topic and explain it quite succinctly, and yeah, I think that would help very greatly. I think it shows your ability that way. So I think when it comes to your assignments and all that, really, I know your workload is heavy, but if you really commit your time to making sure that you focus primarily on your academics, and yes, do all the other things that you enjoy doing. I think UKZN provides many societies and different things that you can be part of. Do those things. However, do your best to be balanced, because one of the things that doing well academically can offer you is many options, right? And I'm not saying you have to come to ENS, but all of a sudden the different world can open to you. You could have scholarships overseas. You can have opportunities to be part of a lot of different bodies within the law across the world. So do your best to study hard, because it actually rewards you more than anything. You have applications that, opportunities that are much greater than just our firm. A couple of questions. People are asking whether it's too late to apply in their third year. No. If it's too late to apply in your fourth year, no. I will stress, apply as early as possible, of course. Yes, third years can apply now. Cool. I see that my colleague has been answering the questions. Yeah, look, I don't want to take up too much time. We'll make sure that we see you guys a little bit later in the year. I really appreciate your time today. And hopefully in following presentations that we'll have later this year, we'll have an opportunity to ask more, for you to ask more and more questions. Yeah, but I don't want to take up time from my colleague from CDH. I want to hand over to them. Okay.
Great. Thank you very much, Sabang. I think it's wonderful to hear from ENS. And we appreciate you taking the time to come out and speak to our students today. I think one of the things also I took away from this is there's quite a large emphasis on students getting to think about what exactly are those different areas of practice of law that they'd like to pursue. I think you put that out quite clearly and in the front for our students. We thank you for that. Now we are going to have Cliff Decker Hofmeyer. It's Ms. Boipelo Motontlano. Boipelo is our graduate program manager, and she manages the recruitment of all graduate-related opportunities. She also looks into the biannual student vacation programs, as well as the articles of clerkships, looking into also bursaries as well as university engagements overseas. Over to you, Boipelo. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jacinta, and thank you to UKZN for this invitation. Great presentation there, Tabang, and happy belated birthday. I'm going to share my screen up. You can just tell me once it's up. I'm just going to put it on presentation mode. Please tell me if you guys can see my screen.
Not yet, Boipelo.
Not yet. Okay, just pause it and restart. Okay, so whilst I'm getting that ready, guys, by virtue of introduction, or by way of introduction, my name is Boipelo. As Jacinta has said, so I manage our graduate recruitment opportunities at CDH. Please tell me if you can see the screen now. I only have like 8 slides, so I'm going to leave the little background in the back there. So we are Cliff Decker Hofmeyer. We are based out here in Johannesburg, Sandton, Cape Town, as well as Nairobi and Stellenbosch. Moving through my slides here. Yeah, so we are one of South Africa's largest commercial law firms. We have a number of practice areas, and you can just see a quick snapshot of some of our offices across the country. All our work is commercial based, as the last 2 firms, just like the last 2 firms are. In terms of our management structure, it includes the 5 people on the screen there. So our our CFO, Escal Berger, CEO Brent Williams, as well as Tabila Furman, who is our chairperson, followed by the managing partners for the other two offices, Sami Ndolo and Hassan Ori. Okay, what we offer, like I said, is corporate and commercial services to our clients. These are the 9 practice areas in which we specialize. And then there's a whole sector of work that definitely would not be included in this presentation because it would take up too much of your guys' time. Our candidate attorneys get the opportunity to rotate through at least 4 of our practice areas over the course of their articles. So at any given point, one would get an opportunity to rotate through the litigious as well as the more commercially inclined practice areas. Okay. Insofar as what anchors and distinguishes CDH from our competitors, we like to think that it is our values and the fact that we try to live our values. And when we have people joining our firm, one of the things that's important to us is how you are aligned to our values. There are 9 values on the screen, but at most, we try to say if you can demonstrate that you live and live and breathe at least 3 of these values and how you do it on a day-to-day basis in the working environment, that's what we like to see. So to me, the 3 that always stand out, even from a recruitment perspective, is excellence. So, how you commit yourself, at least as a student, to your studies, how you commit yourself to your extracurricular activities, respect, how you engage with people around you, how you show up. Do you show up differently if you're talking to a CEO or team leader versus one of our tea ladies, for example, a member of HR or a fellow CA? That's something that's incredibly important to us. And then, of course, diversity. So diversity of experience, diversity of background, gender roles, gender, as well as, even like sexual orientation, for example. So these are the things that to us are quite important because these are the things that you bring to the table when you join us at our firm. You bring your full self and how you want that to translate into the kind of professional that you ultimately want to be and how you see us grooming that and teaching you the skills to get you to that point. Okay. In terms of our opportunities, they're currently open also on Leaply. We have right now currently open applications for the winter vacation program as well as practical vocational training for 2023 as well as 2024. So it's a concurrent application if you are eligible for articles starting next year or the year after. Applications will close on the 30th of April, but we are continuously looking at applications. So if you're going to be submitting an application to us, please complete the full application so that when we see it, we don't require additional documents. And in the next slide, I'll explain what 5 main documents we require for you to submit when you're applying for our opportunities. Articles is obviously a 2-year articles period. So like I mentioned, you have the opportunity to rotate through different practice areas, learn different skills from them, learn different management styles, learn different team working styles, different areas of the law and how those intersect as a junior professional, and then how you then translate that into finding ultimately the area that you want to practice in, and then hopefully be retained in as a candidate attorney and into an associate. Our vacation program is a 1-week vacation program over the June or December holidays. In that time, you are placed in a practice area within a team. You give us a wish list of where you would like to be placed in terms of our different practice areas. As best as possible, we try to place you there, and then the team is responsible for the bulk of the work that you do over that time. So we want to, as far as possible, mimic what your experience is going to be like as a candidate attorney. Of course, there'll also be group assessments, there'll be individual assessments, there'll be practice area presentations. There'll be an opportunity to also get to see how the firm operates on a day-to-day basis. Currently, and actually over the last year, our vacation programs were a hybrid model, which is exactly the kind of model that we have now at the firm. So you'll probably come into the office 2 or 3 times a week, depending on the needs of your department and the needs of your team. And that's the same thing that we also employ in our VAC program. So we'll have some presentations, some sessions that are completely remote, so that we have a national footprint or international footprint, depending on where the candidates are. And if for whatever reason you're unable to be in our region, then that means you obviously cannot come into the office. Then you would participate completely virtually. And if not, ideally, we would want you to come into the office and experience what law in action looks like in our offices. And then, of course, we also offer bursaries. Applications for that open on the 1st of June, once you have your updated June results. And those are open from once you have your LLB results. So if you're straight LLB, you can start applying in your first year. And if you are doing an undergrad, then you can apply once you're in your second year. And it's the same thing also for our VAC, as well as practical vocational training opportunities. Okay, who we are and what we are looking for. Those 7 points are just at a high level. What are some of the characteristics that we're looking for in our candidates? Very similar to what my colleague Tabang has also touched on. Good verbal and written communication skills. Obviously, you guys are going to be lawyers, and it's important that you're able to articulate your points and you're able to articulate it a little bit, with a balance of both comprehensive but also quite concise. So going straight to the point, not a lot of legalese. You will find once you guys get into practice that we avoid legalese in terms of like how you speak to clients, because your clients are not lawyers, right? You are the one that understands the law, and it's your job to communicate it to your clients and to your colleagues in a way that they will understand as laymen, right? They will understand what the crux of their issue is and what do you recommend we do for them to then solve that issue or resolve that matter. Resilience is quite an important one, obviously, with the last 2 years having extra highlights at this point. For us, it's also even more important because you're rotating every 6 months. Every 6 months, you're getting an opportunity to see the kind of team player you are and how you adapt into different working environments, working expectations. So it's quite important to us that you show that you are flexible and that you are resilient. You're able to learn from mistakes. You're able to apply constructive criticism, and that you are able to, make the best of that learning experience over that 6 months and ultimately over that 2 years. Well-rounded candidate is obviously important because you need to have, I don't like to call it a balance, because I think especially when you're young and you're starting in your career, you won't find yourself having the opportunity to have a 50-50 or the ability to manage your time in the same way that you do during varsity. Right now, you guys can decide to be at this presentation or not. Nobody is going to be following up with you, right? Your lecturers, if you don't submit an assignment, you'll get a fail or a 0, whatever the case might be. But you are completely responsible for what it is that you want to do and at what time. Once you go into practice, and in fact, in any working environment, you find that your time is accountable to somebody else. So if you're not going to be available, you need to tell someone, I am unavailable for these reasons, and I will get to A, B, C, D at the time that I am able to, right? And these are the times that I think I'll be able to do that. That's called managing expectations. And it's an incredibly important working skill that you then need to have. So for us, a well-rounded candidate is somebody who has demonstrated that they were able to balance the demands of the academics, so managing all your different modules, as well as any additional extracurricular activities. And they can be anything. They can be social, community service, they can be an involvement in the student societies on campus, it can be sports, it can be drama, whatever the case might be, whatever interests you, right? But what you show is that the demand of all your extracurricular activities, as well as your academics, you are able to manage and integrate them in a way that you don't compromise the quality of how you were showing up within those different roles that you have. So well-rounded candidate for us speaks to that. It speaks to a person who can show that they can apply and manage their time and their priorities in a way that will allow them to I'm avoiding the word balance, but in a way that will integrate all those different demands without you without you letting things slip through the cracks and not being able to communicate that to the people that depend on you. Okay, so how to apply? It's those 5 basic documents. It's your cover letter, maximum a page and a half. So what you're applying for, why you're applying for this position. And we're also mindful that you're applying to all the other different law firms. So I always encourage that when you're looking at your cover letter, really think about, like, if I'm applying to 5 different law firms and they're all corporate and commercial law firms, it's okay to say, I'm Boipelo and I have an interest in going into a corporate or commercial firm or a sector of law for these reasons, A, B, C, and D, and then perhaps adding a different paragraph as to like why that law firm specifically, right? That then shows, like I think that the first presenter was saying, that then shows that you were taking the time to do the research on the different law firms and why it is that you think you want to gain experience with them. Law is an extremely competitive field, guys. In the last 2 years, it has become even more competitive. I'll be very straight with you guys in saying that academics, as a recruiter, what we have seen in the last 2 years is that the academics transcripts across all the universities, students are really getting amazing marks. And I don't know if it's because, people have decided to extra prioritize their studies, or they have the time, with the additional resources given by the universities in terms of like data provision, etc. But academics isn't enough, right? It isn't enough to just say, I am an A student and therefore I met your criteria. No, we need more than that. We need to get a sense of who you are and why give you an opportunity over somebody else who has potentially the exact same grades as you do. Okay, so yeah, we're looking for your cover letter, you're looking for your CV. Also a CV, 1 page or 2 pages, just fine. Highlighting your strengths, the skills that you have learned, where you have developed those skills from, obviously, and then the basic information in terms of how to contact you and what your qualifications are to date. Your matric certificate, and that can be either the results or not, as well as a copy of your identification, and you submit that all on our website, that's applyforlaw.africa, or alternatively directly through Leaply. Application process is very straightforward. You apply on the system. Please, guys, apply on the system because that is where we track your applications. If any member of our team needs to see like what's happening with an application, or if you ask for feedback, any member of the team is able to quickly pick up on your application, as opposed to sending an email and hoping that as opposed to sending an email and hoping that one person is constantly tracking your documents. So apply through the correct channels. It is incredibly important. That's also something that you do when you're researching the different firms. And then if your application is successful, you'll get an email notification to set up an interview with you. All our interviews have been virtual via Teams or Zoom. So show up, make sure that your background makes sense, your lighting makes sense, the sound, the volume, that you are in an area where you can fully give your attention to that interview, because now we've been impressed with your paper application, and now we want to get to know who you are, a little bit more of who you are, and whether we think that there's a potential for a fit in our firm. If you're successful through that, you're then invited to participate in our vacation program. And now we exclusively recruit from our vacation program, because also our graduate recruitment committee, we all sit in different areas of the country, in fact, even internationally. So we want to make sure that you have the full benefit of being considered by the full recruitment committee, which is where you would then have your final interview, and then ultimately an offer for articles is made. Goes without saying that your application can fall off at any given stage of this application process. Okay, and then just as a closer, I think because a lot of students haven't had the opportunity for fact work, there are always questions about what do I expect as a fact student? Will I be making tea? Will I just be, just taking notes? No. Like I said before, this is an opportunity for you to get a full sense of what it is like to be a candidate attorney at Cliff Decker Hofmeyr. So you'd be consulting with clients. So you need to show up, right? You show up for the job that you want. So if you're in the office, you're not showing up in jeans, for example. You're making sure that you come through as like a junior, almost like a junior professional. You'd be at least drafting, and well, you wouldn't negotiate, but you certainly would be asked to work on drafting, the first round of an agreement. Have a look at it. We'll obviously give you templates. We'll give you examples. We'll, the team would tell you what it is that they expect from you and where to get the correct resources for you to draft whatever it is that you need to do. Research and opinions. So these are also skills that you're learning through varsity, irrespective of what level you're in. It's incredibly important that you guys are able to research properly, that you're not, copying and pasting opinions and then throwing them together as if you were drafting a document. No, that's not research. That you need to show that you've applied your mind. And how you show that is, again, going back to my point around diversity, how you think about things, how you put things together. That's what we see in the research and the opinions that you provide to us. Liaising with our specialists within the firm, how the firm, how we as colleagues all interact and engage together, communicating with our clients, with counsel, with opponents. These are all things that you can expect even as a VAC student, depending on the practice area that you are in. I'm going to stop now so I can address any questions.
Great, thanks very much, Boipelo. I think it's so interesting to hear that what Cliff Decker Hofmeyr has to offer students, or at least potential candidates. I wanted to ask you, I think that some of the questions have been answered in the Q&A box. I don't know if you have somebody assisting you, but we do have a few that might still need to be addressed. But one or two that I've picked up that I thought maybe you could assist us with live. Anonymous has asked, what are some of the other skills besides knowing the law that would be beneficial to your application in order for it to stand out? Articles, and what are the other skills? Yeah, so basically, what are the other skills other than just knowing the law that would be beneficial, and then what exactly is articles? And then Sumaya asks, how long should the CV be and the motivational letter? Maybe you could clarify that in the application process that you've placed emphasis on. Thank you.
Cool. Let me start with the quick ones. Insofar as how long your documents need to be, guys, you as students, you haven't been working for years and years and years. So a one-pager in terms of a cover letter, or a page and a half, depending on how detailed you want it to be, that's good enough. Remember, we as the recruiters are going through thousands of applications, or hundreds, at least thousands of applications. So you want to make sure that you grab our attention as quickly as possible. Tell us a bit about yourself, what distinguishes you, so that we can then, get those details and then move on, right? Move on to the rest of the application, I mean. So one pager, a page and a half, absolute maximum for me at least, insofar as your cover letter, as well as your CV. Don't list stuff from high school, like unless you were like, head boy, head girl, or you were on the SRC, but like primary school, if it doesn't need to be there, take it off. Don't list like what subjects you were doing in high school. We can see that from your matric certificate. So don't give us things that we can easily access elsewhere. tell us what else you think we need to see. So if you think about, like, if some of you are on LinkedIn, what is the information that you're putting on LinkedIn? You're not putting all your transcripts, all your grades, etc. Right? You're putting information that you're hoping that a potential employer will pick up on and be able to say, oh, okay, I know who Jacinta is. I'm just going to pick up names from who I see here. We see who Robin is. Quick, I see Robin is passionate and is passionate about the law. And this is why Robin is studying the LLB, because they're involved in community service, or they saw this and that, some social injustice, and that's why they decided to pursue it. Just quick points of what you want us to know about you. What is Articles of Clerkship? Articles of Clerkship is well, it's now the former name, but it's the formal training period. So it's that 2-year period after you finish your LLB studies. If you decide that you want to be admitted as a lawyer, if you want to be admitted as another word escapes me, disappeared from my head. But if you decide that you want to be admitted and not necessarily go the pupillage route where you'd become an advocate, then you would be doing that 2 years of what we now call articles, but is actually really known as practical vocational training. Bursaries, yes, they are open for postgrad students like the LLM. If you go on our website, you'll see more information on that. And our website there is applyforlaw.co.za or www. I'm going to populate that on the chat. That's where you'll get all the information on CDH. Skills that we're looking for, I'm also going to encourage you to check out our website for that. And why I want you to do that is because you'll see there's a tab there called YCDH. And if you scroll down, you get to see the different profiles, even of our candidate attorneys. And we have like different questions that we've asked them. And what I hope you pick up when you're looking at least that tab is the different experiences. So both from qualifications perspective, as well as extracurricular activities, you pick up what it is that people all brought to the table. So when we're looking at skills, there is no specific checklist. And I think, guys, that's such an important thing to note. There is no like, oh, you didn't, you didn't do labor law, and we have a big employment department, and therefore, sorry, you're out. No, we don't do that, right? In fact, even your legal technical skills, it would be impossible to say this is exactly what we're looking for, because we understand that whilst you are studying versus when you get into practice, your interests may change, right? So somebody might say, is it better for me to have an LLM before I apply? Is it, am I more competitive? Not necessarily. It just means that you have developed more skills than somebody that was doing a straight LLB, or somebody that did a BAc or a BCom or a BA. What you are doing during your studies is pursuing the life that you think you want for yourself, and how that translates to what we do in practice is what we will then, train you up on. So skills, I mean, there's the basic ones: researching, drafting. If you want to go into moods so that you can, develop your oral argument, listen to that, oral argumentation skills, or how you articulate yourself, or how you communicate, or just confidence to debate a specific point. Those are things that you can learn, without us having said that, it makes you a stronger candidate than somebody else. Jacinta, I think I got to all the questions. And then Thandeka, again, guys, do the research on the different firms. If you know that you want to do marine law, family law, and the law firm that you are interested in doesn't practice it, then you need to make a decision if you want to apply to that law firm or not, because we might not practice what you do, and therefore you won't get, for at least from us, from a training perspective, you won't get what it is that what you wanted out of that firm. So you make the decision, guys. Ultimately, it is your career. And then there was a very specific question I just quickly want to address here from Tawega. So if you had an application already shortlisted with us and you received feedback saying it's been further shortlisted for the next VAC program, there's nothing else for you to do except make sure that your documents are updated on the LEAPLI site, because now that we are starting our recruitment process again, we will start getting back to you guys on what the next steps look like. Okay, and I think that's it. And sorry, Noma Sabata, no. No. VAC is only during the December or the during the December or the June holidays. VAC doesn't run throughout the whole year. It's a very structured program, and it's there's specific things that we do in that time that are not duplicated over the course of the year. Otherwise, we'd be interviewing every day, and that's not realistic. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Boipelo. Thank you so much to Cliff Decker Hofmeyer. I think just to really go off before we have the next speaker is I think what you've also done here in this presentation, you've just described what a potential on the professional development doesn't start at the end when they are just applying, but they need to start considering what does academic excellence look like, how can they improve their written and communication skills, as well as I think those other aspects that we think or take for granted, rather should I say, in terms of having a positive attitude, how we're presenting ourselves in terms of being well-rounded. I think a number of students have asked here, what should extracurricular work look like? I think a few times we've asked and answered the question whether it should be activities that they have participated in high school. And then, of course, some students are asking how is it possible during this time of COVID. So things like students being team players and hard workers, as well as exercising resilience. I think this period of COVID-19 has demonstrated that students are specifically looking at those aspects in developing themselves academically, not just academically, but also mentally and as well as their attitudes in general. So thank you very much, Boipelo, for your presentation. We are now moving on to Ben's attorneys. We have Mr. Tamsanta Sibia and Ms. Asandile Ndlela. They are both, if I understand correctly, University of KwaZulu-Natal alumni. Mr. Sibia has received a moot competition semi-finalist, runner-up, as well as the Dean's Merit List. Asandile is a newly admitted attorney, a former treasurer of the Students for Law and Social Justice, member of the Golden Key Society, as well as Community Development Association. Welcome to our team from Ben's Attorneys. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you very much. As you've heard, I'm here with my colleague, Tammy. We are both recently admitted, actually, as of Friday last week. We're here to speak about VINs. I've shared my screen with you, so hopefully that shows. So VINs Attorneys basically is a firm that was started in 1952. As of yesterday, we've turned 70 years. So we have a team which includes our directors. We have 11 directors, 4 executive consultants, 1 associate, 12 professional assistants, 4 second-year candidate attorneys, and 6 first-year candidate attorneys. So as CAs joining VINs Attorneys, we look at candidates from up to 4 to 6 individuals a year. So we also offer these fields of law. We have litigation and dispute resolution, road accident fund, property law.
Asandile, sorry, we can't see your PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, sorry. There we go. Is it visible now?
Not yet. There we go. If you could put it onto the slideshow, thank you. Great, thank you. There we go.
So I was speaking on the areas of law. We have litigation and dispute resolution, road accident fund, property law, debt recovery, public law, tax, trust and estates, commercial law and labor law. So each candidate attorney is looking at practicing under a director. So you have direct contact with the director and they supervise your work. They delegate the tasks that you have to do. As well as when you're working under a director, it doesn't mean you solely work for that person. So we're looking for someone who's a team player, because at the end of the day, as a CA, we have to work as a team, which means you work for every department. So you have to be a team player with good attitude. Each CA has to rotate in at least 5 of the areas of law that I've listed. You will practice for 6 months in each department. However, there are instances where we see a need in the department, you may stay even longer. So when you're looking at articles, you need to question yourself on the areas of law that you have interest in. I think that is how you pair whether you're a good fit for that particular firm. So we also do family law, which is not listed on the areas of law. So you do have a wide span of the types of law you can practice in. You can try to see what you enjoy, and then you can make a suggestion at the end of your articles, because you do meet up with the directors and they do question you on the types of law that you enjoy, on the areas of law that you want to practice in or grow in. So you can suggest the type of or the area of law you want to practice in as an attorney. Further, we have a vacation work, which is once a year. Our applications close on the 15th of March, and today is the 2nd of March, so you still have a bit of time to apply. In terms of our vacation program, you actually do practical work, which means you do have mentors that are the candidate attorneys that are there, or the attorneys who take you around and actually go to court. You see the actual practical process. So it is very beneficial in that you have a sense of an idea of what you'll be doing as a candidate attorney. Because you see in university and work life is very different. So I think vacation work gives you like a broad spectrum of what practicing as an attorney looks like. So we also have a branch in the Durban office and the Pietermaritzburg office. So you do have the liberty to make a choice whether you want to go to Durban or Pietermaritzburg. You can make a suggestion to the directors and they will see whether it's suitable for you to actually practice in those firms. Further, I'd say for candidate attorneys, you would have to be very prepared in terms of working long hours sometimes. So as a CA, I think you need to expand yourself. So as an attorney, we do have candidate attorneys that we send on errands and whatever. So you have to have a good attitude and good working relationship. And that also gives you a good name in the firm to be actually kept on after your articles. For example, this year, we've had for the first time all our candidate attorneys were retained as attorneys. So that's a good start. So I'll hand over to Tammy now to proceed with the presentation.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. Sorry, it seems we're having some technical connection with my colleague. I hope everyone can hear me though now. There was some echo in the background at some point. So yes, as my colleague has already explained, the events layout. So we have directors, and then we have professional assistants, we have candidate attorneys, and then we have executive consultants as well, which all play a role, I believe, in the training of the candidate attorneys. So there is quite some support for any candidate attorney. I know for myself as well, since I was a candidate attorney at some point, and now I'm an attorney, and I know the amount of training that goes into training our candidate attorneys. So what questions that usually come up from people who are still university students, like most of our attendants today, or the purpose of today's meetup, or let's call it a law professions day, is to just ask questions that students usually have regarding practice in a law firm. So those are, why should we maybe do articles, and there's various options. You can become an advocate, you can become an attorney, but in order to become an attorney, that's where you need to do articles, flagship. They are now called practical vocational training. So that's where you train for 2 years, and then you write your board exams, and then you are admitted as an attorney of the High Court of South Africa. So some of the questions that usually come up is, for an example, why should I join VENS? For example, let's say a candidate usually asks what goes into a life of a candidate attorney in VENS. So the reason why you should guys consider VENS attorneys or join VENS attorneys is pretty much simple. The firm is big enough in the sense that it provides a wide range of training and wide range of departments for candidate attorneys, as already explained by my colleague. So you can actually rotate into different departments, you get exposed. I believe it's when you start your articles of clerkship that you know which area of law you'd like to practice in. For an example, I'm doing banking law at the moment, but something I didn't consider while I was still a student in university. So your priorities or your interests do change from time to time. So it's best that you try to align yourself with what you want, with what that firm has in stock. So for an example, if you wanted to join maybe estate, then the attorneys would has that estate department. And then another reason why you should guys join VENS attorneys is that in KZN, I believe we have two divisions of the High Court. We have the Pietermaritzburg High Court. We also have the Durban High Court. So we have branches or offices on both those divisions. So there's no need for candidates to actually relocate, because I mean, we are already close to the university and then close to those high courts. And if you join VENS, then there's no change in lifestyle that much, which might be stressful for a young professional. And also there's personal attention that's given to candidate attorneys. In as much as we are a big firm, we are still small in a sense that we provide sufficient training for candidate attorneys, even for VECWEC students, because we take them in for roughly 2 weeks in June after the exams, university exams, and we take them through what a life of a candidate attorney looks like. And I think it's best for university students, even if you are doing your first year, to just go out there, do make those applications to law firms, do those vocational works. The more you do vocational works, the more you do understand what it involves to be in a law practice, the day-to-day of a candidate attorney or subsequently an attorney. So you get that feel of what's expected of you, so that even when you come back to campus after doing your VECWEC, at least you have some understanding of how to maybe structure your studies as well, how much to pay at, which things to pay more attention to, because that's what's in demand. Maybe in a law firm, let's say maybe you need to pay more attention to civil procedure, for an example, you would have known that only if you've joined maybe a firm and realized that that's what they actually use in practice, civil procedure, or maybe estates, let's say, for an example, if that's an area of law you like. So I would say it helps you to be engaged in as much as possible, so that at least you have an understanding before you even join any law firm for articles. So the reason why you should join VENS particularly is because we try to make it easy for candidate attorneys to feel at home and to adapt to the life from university to work life. So we try to create that balance in a sense. So that's why you should join VENS, because we pay much attention to our candidate attorneys, which in most cases, they end up becoming our attorneys. As my colleague has said, we've had 100% retainment rate from last year towards this year. So it's something that's good, knowing that once you join a firm, do consider what happens ultimately or after you've completed your articles. So it's very nice to know that there are firms like VENS that do retain everyone who's already joined their program. Another question that would usually pop up is how are articles at VENS different from other firms? As I've already explained, they are rewarding in the sense that you get a lot out of those articles. There's also weekly in-house trainings. So those help you to, at least if you are doing, maybe for an example, estates, you are in the estates department, you shouldn't miss out on any other aspect of law. So we do take you through that training, maybe to understand, for an example, let's say property law. Even if you are in estates, you still do property law training, you still do civil procedure training and litigation. So at least you have some exposure to the different departments of the firm. So when we next consult, maybe with the client that has a property issue, you are alive to the challenges that are in property, and you are available for solutions maybe in that regard. So we do engage with our candidate attorneys in as much as possible regarding training. And the rotation system, I would say it's one of the best inventions we have here for candidate attorneys, because it teaches you quite a lot. And what we teach you here is what you actually use later on in practice. I can vouch for that because, as I've said, I was a candidate attorney at VENS and subsequently an attorney at VENS. So I know that training and the rotation system really did help me out. Even though, for an example, I didn't join the estates department, I still know what is expected or what is done in the estates department, and I can already take it through someone who has an estate issue, because I do receive that training, that weekly training. And we try to teach our candidate attorneys that we give them about a month to just learn about the firm, and don't give them, just put them on the deep end. No, we don't do that. We take it at a pace. We give them a month to try to adjust to the work life firstly, and to the ins and outs of the firm as well, and to try to figure out maybe which candidate would be best for which department, so that we try to align our candidates in a sense that it makes more sense for them as well, because we wouldn't want someone who has an interest in estates and put them in a department that they wouldn't like to be in or need to be in. So that's what we try to do for that first month. We try to figure out which candidates are best for which departments. We take their views, we try to place them accordingly. And articles at VENS are different in the sense that we have some excursions from time to time. So it's not only work. So there is some work and some extra life on the side. So we do take out excursions. We have a VENS pass that we use. So it's not an issue of just working at VENS only, but we do interact with the secretaries, with the receptionists, with the messengers. So everyone does come together from time to time. So in a sense that we do get a feel of what everyone else does. So you know that secretaries, this is what they do, this is who they are, this is the name of the messenger who delivers the mail or who collects my mail or who serves on my behalf. So you get the feel of who's in the firm, who's who. You don't just meet someone on the alley and you don't even know their name. So we try to make it as a healthy environment as possible. And with the two divisions, we two offices that we have in the two divisions. That gives our candidates, I would say, a feel of the two divisions of our high courts. So we have the Durban division and the Pietermaritzburg division. So we are better placed. That gives our candidates a feel of both environments. There's not much difference in terms of law, but in terms of the life of that candidate, one might want to be in Durban for family reasons or other reasons. So at least we are multi-placed, if I may put it in that sense. So that's why you should choose Vans, and that's how we are different from most firms or other firms. And we try to promote a balanced lifestyle for our candidate attorneys once they do join us. So as I've explained, there's time to work, and then there's time for other things as well. Family, as you can see on the shared screen, there's dance challenges, there's everything. So Vans does try to create that balanced life for their candidates. And then the question that usually comes up as well that I've tried to answer is, how do I survive in articles? As I've explained, you can become either an advocate in practice or an attorney. But before you become an attorney, you need to do your article. So the question that usually comes up is, how do I survive on my articles? So here at Vans, we try to make that process as bearable as possible. Because guys, law is very hard, even from university to practice. It's quite complex in a sense, but we try at Vans to make the ride much more smoother, as I've explained before, with the ongoing training and the supervision that comes from the directors down to the professional assistants, and then it lands to the candidate attorneys. So there is that supervision, there is that assistance that we give, tailored assistance that we give to our candidates. And I've never met a candidate attorney at Vans who said that they were stressed after work, because we try to make a balanced life and we try to make it as interesting as possible. So we try to look for the well-rounded candidate attorney. There was a question on the Q&A section whether on the issue of a well-rounded candidate attorney. To be honest, there's no particular skill that we usually look for. So we try to balance. One of the presenters or my colleague explained, there's no particular checklist that recruiters use. Even here at Vans, there's no particular checklist that we use. We try to work with what we already have and try to pick maybe the best candidate that we can based on the needs of the company as well and the needs of that candidate as well. So a person who on their motivational letter states that they are really interested, maybe let's say in becoming a conveyancer. We do have a large department at Vans that deals with conveyancing. So you would then it would be best to pick maybe that candidate who will align that desire that they have, add the training and the skill that we can provide to that candidate to try to match them into one. And we have a well-rounded candidate in that sense. So there's no particular checklist that we use, but we do want a candidate that has the right attitude, the right skills that would involve maybe research skills, writing skills. So it's not only academic based. So it does involve all those things. We do need a candidate who's willing to go an extra mile in the execution of their duties. But at least as Vans, we do take you through what is expected of you. We take you through the issues that attorneys deal with on a daily basis. Even as a candidate attorney, we'll take you through to the Supreme Court of Appeal if we have a matter there. We'll take you through to the Constitutional Court if we have a matter there, so that you are part of the team, you are part of the guys who are actually doing it. And it's not just that a candidate attorney should just index and paginate, because at the end of the 2 years at Vans, then what do they know? So we try to invest as much as possible in the sense that we know we are going to most likely retain you. So it's best we give you all the training that we can give to you. And that's where I would say, in order to succeed at Vans, you need the right attitude, the right skills, and you need to go that extra mile. And then, as I've explained, and one of the questions that popped up from the Q&A as well was, what are articles? As we've all been speaking about articles. So articles is the mandatory training. It's now called practical vocational training. It's mandatory for anyone who wants to become admitted as an attorney. You would need to do those articles for a period of 2 years. And then you need to write your board exams. That's where the training we host every week comes into play, because it helps you ultimately to ease the stress that you have to balance work and study. So those are articles you need to do them in order to become admitted as an attorney. Another question that came up was, do you need a valid driving license and your own vehicle? Those are not prerequisites to joining vans for VECWEC, although we do recommend that a candidate has a driving license, because we have multiple vehicles at vans that candidates use to execute their duties. So it would be best to have a valid driving license, and then to also not have a vehicle, because whether you have one or don't, we still have the vans vehicles that we use on a daily basis, although we do recommend a license. But I've seen some candidates that were taken for VECWEC and also for articles. Some of them didn't have a driving license. So it's not, like I've explained, it's not a matter of a fixed checklist. So the checklist that we usually use, so we can have a well-rounded candidate attorney who doesn't have a driving license, whether it's because they didn't have the finances or whether they couldn't drive at the time. So there might be multiple factors that make a person being unable to drive. So that's one of the main factors that you will consider. So if maybe you consider yourself a well-rounded candidate and then you don't have a driving license, that shouldn't bar you from applying advance. You should take your motivational letter, your CV, and your certified documents that includes your transcript, drop them at our offices, send them via email, or you can even upload them online. I remember when I applied advance, I used that online platform. That's where I uploaded all my documents, and I was invited for an interview, passed that, and then I was enrolled as a candidate attorney. So it really doesn't matter which other skills you don't have, as long as you have the right skills, then that's where it all boils down to, and that's where we want that well-rounded candidate, whether they do have a car or not. It's not a fixed matter. Okay, thank you. That would be all from our side, and please make those applications to vans attorneys. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you very much to the team from vans attorneys, Tamsan and Sandile. It was very
Ms. Tui, are you
good
still
to hear
there?
from you today. And yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Yasanta, but Tamsanya, you can stop sharing your screen now. Thanks.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, great. So we have heard from our team from vans attorneys. I think for the students that are listening today, I just want to remind you that while you are attending this session this morning, you're welcome to go, and we do understand that you have lectures to attend to. So this afternoon session we will have a completely different set of law firms that will be speaking. One of the things I just want to comment on as we close this session this morning, or at least this morning session, is vans attorney as what that looks like. Is involved in if you are criteria that really make you look more, if want of a better word, attractive for your application process. So if I could ask vans attorneys, Samasank, if you could please put on the chat group or on the Q&A box, and G3, is that still open?
Hello, Mr.
Yes, thank you.
It seems like I'm losing you at some point. I'm not sure if it's my connection or yours.
There? Yes.
Mr.
Okay, no problem. I was just asking. Okay, can you hear?
I think my connection is quite bad, Ms. Tui, but I will.
Okay, no problem. If Asandile can maybe also assist, otherwise I will put the question on the chat box. I'm now going to hand over to Professor Warren Friedman, who is one of our lecturers based at the University of KwaZulu-Natal School of Law, Pietermaritzburg. Professor Friedman.
Hello, Jacinta. Can you hear me all right?
Good afternoon. Welcome. Yes, thank you very
so
much. I'm just going to end our session now.
Right.
I'm done with the morning session with our law firms that have visited us today. The next session will take place from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Thank you very much. The session will take 2 o'clock. Thank you very much, President.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jacinta. Well, I see it's already past 12, so I guess our afternoon session is ready to go. So I just wanted to begin by welcoming the presenters and the students to this afternoon session of the School of Law's second Virtual Law Professions Day. I have watched some of this morning session, and I must say that, excuse me, I must say that I was very impressed. The presentations were excellent, the questions were very good, so well done, students, and the answers were very informative and helpful. Also been very impressed with the attendance. I see that certainly at one point it was up to nearly 300 students online, and I'm sure many more watching the YouTube live stream as well. And I've no doubt that this afternoon session will be equally good. Like the morning session, we have 4 presentations this afternoon, and they will follow the same format as this morning. So I will introduce the speaker or the presenter. We'll then watch their or listen to their presentation. After the presentation, there'll be a Q&A session, hopefully some live questions, but also questions in the chat box. And each presentation will be roughly 20 minutes long with 10 minutes for questions. Students, please remember to keep your microphones muted during the presentations and to ask questions in the chat box and in the live session when we have an opportunity to do so. Just to the presenters, I will give a warning after about 20 minutes to say that you need to wrap up so that we can provide students with an opportunity to ask live questions or for you to answer the questions that are still unanswered in the chat box. Okay, so without much further ado, I think let's turn to our first presenter. And our first presentation is from the PPS Foundation, and our presenter is Subhashini Gaunda. So Subhashini has 20 years of experience in the field of operations, project and program management within the financial services sector. And her role at the PPS Foundation is to initiate, coordinate and implement programs that assist the youth of South Africa to achieve their dreams through education. Subhashini is currently the Corporate Social Investment Senior Manager for the PPS Foundation and leads a number of successful programs, including the Graduate Internship Program, bursaries, LEAP or a Work Readiness Program, University Support Mentorship, and the PPS Alumni. And Subhashini tells me that these programs are very important to her because they allow young people to achieve their dreams with the assistance of passionate people like her who work for PPS. She believes that the youth are our future, and by helping them that we're helping South Africa. So with that, I would like to welcome Subhashini and the PPS Foundation. We're very pleased to have you here with us today, and I'd like to invite you to now make your presentation.
Professor Friedman, thank you so much for that introduction. I'm going to introduce myself as a colleague of Subhashini's, who's really just going to set the scene for Subhashini before she joins today. I just want to check that everybody can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Thanks very much.
Perfect. Thank you, thank you, Professor Friedman. And just a really good day to all the attendees who've actually joined the PPS presentation today at this Virtual Law Professions Day hosted by UKZN. My name is Nikki Lillywhite, and it's not Melanie, as it appears on the name. I am using Melanie's link, and that's why that has come up. But my name is Nikki Lillywhite, and I'm actually the Strategic Relationship Manager at PPS. And before I hand over to my colleague to talk to you about the PPS Foundation, I'd like to just take a few minutes to position PPS in the South African financial services industry and to elaborate on our belief and our support of the graduate market and professionals throughout the country. So PPS essentially was founded by a group of 8 dentists in 1941 who realized that if any of them were to suffer from an illness that kept them away from work, their earnings could be severely affected. And so in order to protect themselves, they started a society where everybody contributed. And these funds would then be used to help any member through a period of illness. And with this shared value, PPS soon grew to include other like-minded professionals. Today, in fact, PPS is the only mutual financial services company in South Africa that focuses exclusively on graduate professionals, providing tailor-made insurance, investment, and healthcare solutions. We recognized as a company of value and integrity by most lawyers, doctors, accountants, engineers, and many other professions that know PPS is exclusively there for them and their families through every life stage, from graduation to retirement and beyond. So unlike a company that is listed on the stock exchange, PPS also belongs to its members and operates under the ethos of mutuality. And this means that qualifying members with life insurance can exclusively share in the profits of the PPS group through the unique PPS profit share account. A very important part of the PPS group is the PPS Foundation that has been changing lives since 2016. And today, my colleague Subhashini Gaunda, who's been introduced to you by Prof. Friedman, who is the Senior Manager for Corporate Social Investment at PPS, will share more with you about the PPS Foundation, which has positively impacted numerous graduates through their bursary programs, their university support programs, the Professionals Connect portal, and the extensive work readiness programs that they have conducted. Subhashini, thank you so much for joining us, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Nikki. And thank you, UKZN, for inviting the PPS Foundation and PPS to present at this event. You know, when we were brainstorming as to what we're going to present to our students or to the students of UKZN, we came up with a plan that said, yes, we do want you to join us in our grad program or to become an employee of PPS. But most importantly, what we thought that is going to be more meaningful for everybody that's on this platform is for us to be able to hold your hand and take you from the time that you become you've completed your studies, you've qualified. We will hold your hand and try and integrate you into the work environment. You know, and to be able to tell you things and guide you on how you would be able to do that, because you can have the qualification. And as Professor Friedman mentioned earlier, there's about 300 people students that did attend the session. So if you have to look around you, I'm sure you would be able to see some faces of your colleagues or the students that, you know, and friends that you have made. How many of you are going to qualify at the end of this year? And what are you going to do for yourself that's going to set you apart so that you can stand out to the organizations that you would want to be employed by? And this is what the PPS Foundation would love to be able to help you with. So just an overview on the foundation. We run many programs, and as Professor Friedman mentioned, is that we are very passionate about the youth in South Africa. And most importantly, for us is what can we do to allow you to become employable, become economically able and economically independent in South Africa and once you qualify. So the different programs that the foundation runs is our bursary program, and many of you might not be in your final year and you're probably still looking for funding for your studies, or you might have a bit of historical debt and you need some help with that. We welcome you to apply for a bursary at the PPS Foundation. We generally open up our applications in September, towards the end of September, and we run it for about 2 to 3 months, and so that we would give students enough time to apply for a bursary. So I'm not too sure on the breakdown of the type of year that the students are in, but please, you are more than welcome to apply. We had, over the last 3 years, we have funded over 15 students from UKZN. But if there's one thing that I can mention is that the medical students at UKZN are very popular on our bursary application. I would love to see more law students there, because I think that you would also benefit from the bursaries. Overview on the bursaries: we cover tuition, accommodation, meals. If you require a laptop, we will be able to help you with that. If you require data, we would be able to help you with that as well. So that is our bursary program, and I would definitely like to see all of you apply for that. The next thing that I want to speak to you about is the university support program that the foundation runs. This program specifically is designed to be able to help students at a university, but we work very closely with your faculty heads. They would be able to give us a proposal or an application that's going to help the university. Things that we would consider there would be lab upgrades. We would consider, providing laptops for students. I know in the last few years, we helped the medical faculty yet again, and that was to create a chill room for them. We're currently investigating how can we improve that chill room for the medical students. And if any of the faculty heads from the law faculty is around, this is your opportunity to engage with me and let me know if there's any initiatives at the university that we could help with that's going to benefit the law students at UKZN. We all know COVID has thrown a span in the works over the last few years. I think it's settling down quite a bit. But when COVID hit, the main initiative for that PPS looked at is that how can we help our professional medical frontline workers continue with their work. UKZN, reached out and said, we have medical students that are in their 5th year and 6th year. They are also part of the science faculty. They were part of the frontline helping South Africans, cope with COVID. They needed PPEs. They needed laptops, because now you had to go from face-to-face interaction and lectures to hybrid models or working from home. And we were able to supply UKZN with PPEs, with laptops, with data. So that is just another example of what we do for the youth and for the universities. I want to take you through the next program that we run, and I do believe that it's going to assist all university students. I do apologize. I hope you can hear me clearly. Every time I present for UKZN, there's a thunderstorm in Johannesburg. So I hope I'm clear and you're able to hear me. So Professionals Connect is a digital platform that the foundation manages. And with that, on this platform, you would be able to register to become a Professionals Connect member. There you would be able to find vacancies. You would be able to find a mentor. You would be able to apply for our graduate program, which I am going to speak a lot more on. You would also be able to apply for a bursary. So we're trying to create this platform to be a one-stop shop for all individuals that form the age group from 19 right up until the age of 35. So it is for the youth. We have blogs, we have articles, and it's a very interactive platform. To become a member, all you need to go, and Mel, if you could help put the website onto the chat box, which is www.professionalsconnect.co.za, and go and visit the website. You would be able to see all the things that the foundation has to offer. The next, we would like to engage with you more on Professionals Connect. It's free of charge to anybody that wants to be there. We also offer an opportunity for organizations and universities to advertise their vacancies or to become a recruiter on Professionals Connect, and you will be able to have access to our students, qualified individuals, students that are still studying, that are busy with their education, that would be able to apply for any vacancies that you have at the university, or for the university students to apply for any programs. The next program I will speak to you about is the Leap Work Readiness Program. I briefly touched on it before I started, and this, we would love to roll it out to the UKZN Faculty of Law, to all your students, so that you would be able to prepare yourself to start in a workplace. The modules that we cover on the Leap Work Readiness Program is CV writing, interview skills, how your digital presence can impact your future when it comes to the working world, when it comes to whether you want to go and become an entrepreneur and open up your own legal practice. We will help you with that. We also bring in our subject matter experts, our financial advisors that will help you on consumer financial education. They will speak you through your good debt, your bad debt, what should you consider with your first salary, how you should save so that you can always have something left for a rainy day. So the Leap Work Readiness Program, why we call it different and why we are so passionate about it is that we bring in subject matter experts. So when you attend this program, you will see me presenting on CV writing, you will see me presenting on interview skills, because if you apply for a vacancy in a graduate program at PPS, the likelihood of seeing me across the table is very great. So we will tell you about the do's, the don'ts, types of templates, types of questions that you should ask in an interview. We speak you through your CBS to, should you have a photograph? Should you have a motivation? Should it have a covering letter? Things that us that have been in the working world for a long time take for granted. I can guarantee you it's going to benefit you. The chances of your CV being recognized and acknowledged by the legal firm is absolutely great. And how you would be able to market yourself and how you would be able to market yourself to the person that is interviewing you. So that is our Leap Work Readiness Program. It's extremely popular, and it has been well received by many students and faculty heads alike, by the way. I just have to say that because we never know what people are looking for, and we take it for granted that this is a CV. Oh, don't worry, we're going to stand out. Not the case at all. The next program I will speak to you about of what we're going to help you with is our graduate program. So along with, I know many of the legal graduates would want to go and do their internship so that they could become candidate attorneys. But I do have a lot of legal graduates that actually do not want to follow that route. They would like to go into corporate, where they would be able to learn more about corporate law. We have, I think in the last 5 years, I was able to bring in 5 legal candidates into our business to become a graduate at PPS. So can you imagine you are being exposed to a team of legal qualified individuals that's going to help you with your journey on compliance, on risk, on legal matters, on contracting. You're not going to be there just to be able to make tea or photocopies. You are going to be there to learn exactly what a financial industry requires from a legal qualified individual. And we tend to we've got a good attrition rate for our graduates. It's a 12-month program. Once the program is over, we are sitting between an 85 to 90% retention rate. if you form part of our graduate program. But also, we can't guarantee that you will be employed, but what we can guarantee that once you complete that program, you will be employable, because we cover topics like emotional intelligence, presentation skills, how to market yourself, how to build on your confidence. We speak about values, how to collaborate. We also partner with the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, and we offer an additional leadership qualification with the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, as well as UNISA. So those are the programs that the foundation runs, and these are the opportunities that we at PPS would love to offer all the students at the Faculty of Law, so that we can hold your hand and we can make it possible that you will get that job when you apply, or that you stand out from the crowd. Thank you very much. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Subhashini, just looking at the chat box, thanks so much for that information. But there have been some questions coming in around the LEAP work readiness program, and question like, when is the LEAP work program held, and how can we access the program? Can you maybe elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure. So the LEAP Work Readiness Program, we run it at any time of the year. And so the request would come through from your faculty heads, or if any student wants to attend the LEAP Work Readiness Program, they're more than welcome to send an email through to our email basket, which is info@pps.co.za. Also, if you become a member of Professionals Connect, we tend to communicate with all our members on Professionals Connect when we are running it. But we also partner with our Life Broker division, which Melanie and Nikki are part of, and they would be able to engage with your faculty heads. We can do it hybrid, which means we can come to the university, do it face-to-face as well as online, or we could do it face-to-face only, or we could do it online. The choice is really yours.
Thanks so much, Subhashini. And just another question around the PPS Foundation. Does the PPS Foundation fund postgraduate programs? Could you elaborate on that for us?
Absolutely. So we do know that a law degree generally takes 4 years. So we will cover you from the time that you become a foundation bursary holder right up until you qualify. And we most definitely do cover for postgraduate qualifications as well. Unfortunately, we do not cover from masters and above if you are doing your general degree, but we will cover doctors for the 6 years that they become a PPS bursary holder. Did I mention about what we cover in the bursaries? We cover accommodation, meals, tuition, books, laptops if required, data if required. And if you are struggling, we also launched a reality wellness program for all our bursary holders. Should you need to speak to a psychologist, that's where we have a whole lot of money, financial wellness programs as well. How do you deal with stress? We have programs as well, that we mark with reality. So those are the qualified individuals that run those programs as well.
Subhashini, thanks. And just one more a comment that states that the PPS website mentions that bursaries are only available for STEM students, the STEM students. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Absolutely. Yes, we are biased. I'm going to have to be honest. Yes, we're biased towards STEM qualifications, but that does not mean that we do not bring in any law students. We average around 3 to 4 law students in our bursary program. And so about 80% of our bursary holders are STEM qualified individuals or STEM qualifications, right? But 20% does go to the rest of the faculties. So if you're blowing those lights off, we want to be part of your life, part of your studying journey, and I don't see why we should not.
Thanks for clarifying that. And just lastly, what opportunities do you have for graduates who are 35 and above?
So if you're a graduate, that's 35 and above. I think we have quite a few of those individuals in South Africa because our unemployment rate is so high. So what I would recommend that you would go, if you do not have any working experience, then you will not fall within the graduate program, but we do have junior roles that would be available at PPS, our mother brand. And if you do have work experience and you're looking to try and get into a more senior role, all our vacancies are advertised on LinkedIn as well as PNet. So those opportunities you would be able to find there.
Subhashini, thanks for that. I see there are one or two other questions that are coming in, and it seems like time is permitting us.
I know.
This question, if you have a bursary, would you have to work for PPS after you are finished and done?
Absolutely not. However, this is what we can offer. The PPS Foundation is a public benefit organization. So whatever we pay towards our beneficiaries, we do not and we cannot ask for anything back in return. We do it because we are passionate and we are passionate about your education and your future. But what we can offer you is, should you want to be part of PPS and the employees, you will have first dibs at any vacancies we have in our graduate program. You will be fast-tracked, as if you'd let me know that you've applied for a graduate program, I will most likely take your CV, review it, make some tweaks, recommend some changes if need be. If it's a good CV, then it's fine. I'll send it through to our recruitment team and I would say, this is a PPS bursary holder. Can you please fast-track them into an interview? I will set up time with you and I will have a one-on-one session with you and prepare you for your interview as well, because we want you to become employable. So, I mean, it's about the value add and the value chain of paying for your education, offering you a position at PPS and nurturing your potential to whatever dreams you want to achieve. So yeah, it's not an obligation, but it is an offer.
Certainly. And Subhashini, just in terms of the bursary, would the bursary cover fees from the previous year?
So the amazing thing that we had last year, we had two organizations that partnered with the foundation, and they were very specific on what they wanted to do. They wanted to reduce or clear out historical debt for any bursary applicant that came through our system. So yes, we do cover historical. The foundation does not really cover the historical debt, but our partners do. So if you're a PPS Foundation bursary holder and you have historical debt, and if we do have budget that's available, yes, we would consider clearing it out. But if the foundation cannot do it, what we will do is then partner with the two organizations that we currently have and try and clear out your historical debt. It's not a guarantee, but we most definitely try to do that. The most important thing is that when you qualify so that you can become economically able, we don't want you to have the debt to your name. I mean, 2 years ago, I had twin sisters that were in their final year of medicine, and they had combined historical debt was over 350,000 Rand. The foundation was able to clear that for them. And it was a single mom and a single income household. And so when they went in to do their internship, they did not have to worry about paying their student fees off. We did that for them. So yes, we would consider it, but it's not one of our primary requirements, purely because we want to take you from the time that you become a bursary holder till you qualify. If there is any more funds available, we will consider the historical debt.
Thank you for clarifying that, Subhashini. And I think we've more or less covered all the questions from our side. So unless there's anything else, yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thanks, Subhashini, for sharing that information with us. And thank you for the incredible opportunity to be part of this wonderful platform. Thank you.
Thank you as well.
Yes, thanks so much, Subhashini. I thought that was very informative. I didn't realize that PPS both employs law graduates and then offers all of these amazingly diverse services as well. I mean, I think it's very useful to expose students to the fact that there are options outside of going into articles or outside of law firms. And that's certainly one path for law graduates is in the corporate field. So I'm really pleased that you joined us today and that you presented that opportunity to students as well. I also found I've taken careful notes of the various services you've offered, and I'll certainly be speaking to our Dean, Professor Reddy, about some of them. I particularly like the idea of a chill-out room. I'll ask her to follow up with you on that one. That sounds really great for students, because I'm sure that sometime later this year we will be back in person and students will be on campus again. And I think that would be a fabulous facility for them. So yeah, some really great ideas, which I'm definitely going to follow up on. And then also just to thank Melanie very much. She certainly made the session easy for me. That was really fabulous. So thank you both very much. I think that that was really a very helpful and informative session. Yeah, we seem to have dealt with all of the questions. We've got a minute or two left. Let me see if there are any students who would perhaps like to ask a live question. Otherwise, perhaps we can use the time to move on to the next presentation.
Yes, we have Bongisile Nopakela.
Thanks, Hazel. Will the student go ahead?
Bongisile, you can go ahead. Unmute yourself, Bongi.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can. Hello?
Go ahead, Bongi.
Okay, thank you so much, Hazel, for this opportunity. I wanted to know all of the presenters have been telling us about the requirements that one has to meet in order to become an admitted attorney. My question is with regards to the processes and things that one has to do in order to become an advocate.
Prof. Friedman, that's definitely not my alley. I think that would be yours, because I'm not too sure on the requirement for an advocate.
No, thanks, Sebastian. So that is a very good question, Bongi. I think let's hold it over to the next session where we do have somebody from a law firm, and I'll pose it to them, or we'll give you an opportunity to pose it to them as well. Let's see what somebody in practice has to say about those qualifications. I do know what they are, but let me hold it over for the next session. But thanks, that's a very good question. I will pose it, and hopefully we'll get an answer for that.
Prof. Friedman, there's a question from Tumbeka, and she wants to know, is there a bursary-based merit and financial needs for students? So can I just go through quickly what is our criteria to qualify for a bursary holder at PPS Foundation?
Yes, that'd be fabulous. Thanks. In fact, that was a question I had written down as well. So please do go ahead.
Okay, so we look for students that has an academic average of 65% and above. You have to be a South African student. You have to be registered in a public university. Your household income has to be between 0 and 600,000. And when I mention household income, this is not your gross salary, but the net salary that you bring home, the money that you have in your pocket to spend. And that's your household. So it's generally what your parents earn if you are not working. So we understand that NSFAS and the government do give bursaries to students from 0 to 350,000 household income. We decided that there is the missing middle that we need to consider, and this is the working class individuals that do have office jobs but fall below the 600,000. Those are our hard, non-negotiable criteria that we follow for the bursaries. So just to repeat, 65% and above, public universities in South Africa. You have to be a South African. You would have to have a household income of between 0 and 600,000. We also, just another more information is that we also consider co-funding. So sometimes NSFAS will pay for your fees, but they will not pay the full amount because they have a cap at the amount that they are willing to spend. And if there's a shortfall and if you're a PPS for bursary holder, we will fill that gap for you. Yep, that is our criteria.
Thanks so much, Subhashini. That was very useful. Well, then it just remains for me to thank you As I said, I thought that was really informative, very helpful to get a different perspective on career options for law graduates, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So our next presenter is Sayuri Mudli, and Sayuri is from Weber Wenzel. So Sayuri looks after the graduate recruitment program. Sorry, let me start that again. Sayuri looks after the graduate recruitment program at Weber's, and she's been with them for at least a year now. And she comes with a lot of experience in the legal graduate recruitment field, spanning at least 5 years. So let me welcome you, Sayuri and Weber Wenzel. We're very pleased to have you here with us. And I'd like to invite you to now make your presentation.
Thanks so much for the introduction. And I've also got my colleague Reshma on the line. She's currently consulting for Weber Wenzel as part of the graduate recruitment team. Going to let Reshma say hi quickly, and then Musa is going to play a video before we move on to our presentation.
Hello, everyone. Very excited to be chatting to you again.
The future of Weber Wenzel is one of excellence, impact, and passion. As the leading full-service law firm on the African continent, with over 150 years of experience and industry knowledge, we know how to equip graduates with the tools and skills they need to change the future of law forever. But it all starts with the why. What is our why? Through excellence and innovative solutions, we are passionate about helping our clients achieve their goals and to act as trusted advisor. We believe in making a positive contribution to the communities in which we work, and we are proud to call ourselves home to one of South Africa's most long-standing, dedicated pro bono practices. As a firm, we are committed to transformation and diversity. Our alliance with Linklaters and our deep relationships with outstanding law firms across Africa opens a whole new world to our graduates and clients. We create an environment for you to rub shoulders with the best of the best. Our graduates are introduced to various team members within the firm, ranging from associates to those in senior management. We are invested in your growth. This is why we do not only focus on your exposure to law, but also open up the doors for you to expand your business knowledge and grow personally through our mentoring opportunities. To ensure that you can immerse yourself fully into every opportunity that arises, our program offers 3 rotations over the 2-year period. Now is the time to ask yourself, what is my why? Because we want to partner with the visionaries, the dreamers, the planet shakers, the doers, with you. We believe that together we can be unstoppable. Together we can be a force for good, a force for change. Are you ready to rewrite the future together? Visit the Weber Wenzel Graduate Program's website to apply.
Okay, thanks, Musa. I'm going to quickly share my presentation, and then Reshma and I will take you through our application process and so on. Okay, sorry, just give me a second.
Slideshow, Sayuri.
Yeah, I'm just sorry, my screen is just stuck. I'll reshare quickly.
Okay.
I saw a question come up from Luyanda, I think. Hazel?
Yes, yeah, okay. Now we've
Was it? Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, our presentation is not very long. We want to leave enough room for questions. So we just wanted to quickly take you through our applications and our website where you need to go to apply and what we're currently open for in terms of applications. So at the moment, we are open for 2023 and 2024. There isn't a closing date. We are going to keep applications open until all of our positions have been filled. So you can visit our website to apply. I know that there is a little bit of confusion around VAC work and applying for articles and so on. So when you do apply to us, just remember that the vacation program or the VAC work is part of our selection process and it's not a separate application. So if you can just keep that in mind. And yeah, please do visit our website, apply to us for either 2023 or 2024. We usually open up about 2 years or so in advance for applications. And as you would have seen in the video, we do offer a 2-year contract to complete your practical vocational training, and we offer 3 rotations as part of your articles for those 2 years. So obviously, rotations gives you opportunity to sort of see where you have a interest or where your interest actually lies, whether it's in litigation or corporate, and it's quite a nice opportunity to be able to rotate during your articles. We also offer in-house practical legal training, which, as you guys will know, is compulsory for you to complete in order to write your board exams and eventually be admitted. So having it in-house does give you a benefit in terms of just being able to manage your time. You have some of the lectures are internal, some of our partners, and it's just from a sort of convenience perspective, it's very just to be able to manage your work and so on. It's beneficial to do an in-house program. And then when you do join us as well, we offer we group you up or pair you up with one of our second-year CAs, just to help you transition into being into a working environment and also transition into your role as a candidate attorney. We know that coming out of university, it's a massive adjustment, and we do pair you up with someone who's been through, who's walked through their first year of articles, and who would be able to tell you what to expect, how to manage certain things. So it's, I suppose, a bit of an informal mentorship, but we do offer a formal mentorship program as well to employees. So please do, again, I've included our website. Please visit our early careers page on our website. And if you are eligible to apply to us for 2024 or 2023, please do submit an application. Okay, I'm going to leave the floor open for questions. I saw a couple of came through already. Reshma, do you want to take the first question?
I can't see the questions at my side. Do you want to read them out, Siri?
Okay.
Siri?
Yeah, okay, sorry, I was just navigating to the questions. So someone's asking, I'd like to find out if it affects your chances of being taken by a law firm as a candidate attorney if during your academic years you failed a module.
I think it depends very much on the reasons why you failed a module and how many modules you've failed. So I think what we do is that we look at your academic performance throughout your studies. We look at your matric results, and then we look at your first year results, your second results, and if you apply it in your third year, I mean, we'll look up to the June of that year at your results. I would say to students that I wouldn't discourage you from applying if you failed one module. Often people have reasons for why, they didn't perform in a particular instance. So generally, you can't be failing subject after subject after subject. I think that would affect your chances. But if you failed one module, I would encourage you to keep applying aggressively to the firms that you want to, do your articles with.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, context for us is important. So if there is also something like that on your CV, we do provide a space on our applications for you to be able to explain, what happened in a particular year with the particular module.
And I don't think we look at results in isolation, do we, Sayuri?
No.
When we had the talk on CV preparation and interview skills last week, we spoke about the importance of including the full you on your CV. So what else do you do besides study? And those things hold value as well.
Yeah, so we have, I'm sure most of you would have attended the workshop we did last week, where we went through the things you should be getting involved in, the things that are important in your CV, which will sort of carry weight. And we, like Reshma said, we don't look at it in isolation. We're able to then look at you holistically.
I see another question coming in. Do you consider graduates over 35? Of course we do. We consider graduates at all ages.
Okay. I did touch on the facilities or the benefits we have in terms of you guys being able to complete your PLT and register for board exams. So normally our CAs do their PLT in-house when they join us for induction, and then continue up to August so that they're eligible to write for board exams. Reshma, there was a question from the previous session around becoming an advocate.
Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure on the process of becoming an advocate, but after your LLB, I think you would, instead of going to a law firm, you would do 1 year's pupillage following an advocate. You'd be assigned or assign yourself to an advocate, and you do 1 year's pupillage with an advocate before you can, so that's the route that you would follow. A lot of people do choose to do articles first because it gives them insight into, where the work comes from the law firms. So they have a sort of a greater perspective on who your clients are. So it is quite nice to sort of, instead of going directly into it, it is quite nice to get a feel for what the law firms are like before you decide to go and become an advocate. I've got a friend who's gone that route, and the benefit for him, he says, one of the greatest benefits is that he's gotten to know different attorneys, and he was obviously very good as an attorney when he was in a law firm, and so the work sort of followed him where he goes.
Thanks, Reshma. If I could just add perhaps a bit to that. You're absolutely quite right that you don't do articles. Instead, you do what's called pupillage. And pupillage you usually do with a qualified advocate. It's a bit shorter, so it lasts a year rather than 2 years. You do have to write exams, bar exams, in order to be admitted as an advocate. And again, you're quite right that it's very rare for a student to go straight to what's called the bar from law school. Usually you'll become an advocate. And that's because, of course, advocates get briefed by attorneys. So you get your work from attorneys largely. And it's very useful then to know attorneys and to have networks and connections so that they know what kind of work you do and they can then brief you in your practice. But thanks, that was very helpful. I also just want to take the opportunity to apologize for not introducing you earlier. Thank you so much for joining us. You're very welcome, and it's nice to have you here.
Thanks, Warren.
I see there were a couple of other questions in the chat. Perhaps if I could just pick up on one or two of them.
Sure.
So some students were saying, let me just go back up through the chat. see what they were. I think the one question was about VAC work. Do you offer VAC work?
Yes, so the VAC program is part of our selection process for articles. So just remember, when you are applying to us, you apply for articles, you're automatically considered for VAC work as part of the same application.
And then another was about, in fact, this is quite an interesting question, and students have asked me this in the past as well. Is it useful to apply for articles to take up the position immediately after you graduate? Or should you, for example, I suppose, take a gap year, perhaps get broader experience and then apply for articles? Does it make any difference whether you apply while you're still a student and take them up immediately, or perhaps a bit later in life?
Yeah, Reshma, you can go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I think different things work for different people. Look, for some people, it's always beneficial to get quite a bit of that campus experience once you finish school before you start working. But I don't think it's as simple and as straightforward as that for everyone. It's sort of, different things work for different people. So some people elect to do a different degree before you do your LLB degree, and that sort of gives you the benefit of being on campus an extra year, which is always very useful. But other people do a 4-year degree and go straight into it, because the reality is that some people really need to start working as soon as possible. There are others who have, the opportunity to take a gap year, travel in that year. Some people choose to do a master's degree abroad or locally in that year. It's always beneficial to have the extra time and to have the extra experience, but it's not always possible for everybody to follow that route. So I think if you have the opportunity, it's nice to take it. But for those of you who don't have, the benefit of or the opportunities to spend a little bit more time doing different things, it's also okay. Just try and make sure that if you, no matter what your position is, that you try and do different things in the time that you're at university. It sort of gives you the skills to prepare for the workplace. It gives you life experience so that when you start working, you come in a little bit more informed, a little bit more, you know a little bit more about the world instead of that straightforward route. So if you have the benefit of an extra year, take it. But if you don't have it, just do everything else in the time that you're at university.
Thanks, Reshma. Yeah, I think that's very good advice. Essentially similar to what I tell the students when they ask me the same question, although it's always good to hear it from practice to confirm that what I'm saying is correct. The more mature and more world experience a person has, obviously always the better. There were a couple of other questions that I see have popped up in the chat box. Perhaps I can pick up on one or two of them. So I think this is an interesting question. Once you finish your articles at Webbers or being a candidate attorney, do you automatically get employed as a professional assistant or as an attorney with the firm, or is there another selection process?
Theory?
So it is, it is technically another selection process. Obviously, when you have done your articles, we have a formal retention process that we go through. Having said that, our retention rates in the past couple of years have been quite high. So we have retained a lot of our candidate attorneys through the articles program and into associate roles. But there is a formal internal process that we do run, and you'll find that, I think, with all of the other law firms as well.
Yes, no, I think that is very common. And then another student asks, so what sorts of departments or what sort of work, I guess, does Webbers do that they'll be circulated through during their articles? What kind of fields of practice will they be exposed to?
So we've got quite a number of practice areas. We do have we've grouped them into different business units. So we've got a dispute resolution business unit that would be mostly your litigation, your business rescue, those type of areas. And then we've got a commercial where we've got competition, we've got TMT and IP law, and then we've got a huge corporate business unit where you'd then be exposed to more of this, I suppose, transactional sort of corporate fundamental corporate practice areas like mining and those type of things. It's very difficult to give you a wide overview. I have posted our website on the chat as well, so have a look at that. And we've also got a banking and finance business unit and tax as well. So yeah, I mean, as a firm, we are quite broad in terms of practice areas, but I think if you have a look at our website, you'll get a better view.
No,
and I
thanks.
think
That's
one of the
perfectly understandable. Sorry, Reshma, go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to say, I think one of the benefits in joining a big firm is, and especially with where you have the opportunity to do various rotations, is that it's such an exciting space in terms of what you could be exposed to. A lot of people sort of starting out have something in their mind in terms of, I want to be a disputes lawyer only. And then because of the rotations you've had, you never know where you end up and what sort of path your career starts taking. So I think it's a very exciting space. And I think you never ever have to worry about where you'll end up. You just have to be open to these amazing opportunities that come your way once you start your articles.
I think that's such excellent advice. And it really is one of the great benefits of applying to a large firm like Webber's. That you have such a wide range of practice areas that there are opportunities really for everybody.
Yeah.
So I think that there are two more questions I've noticed in the chat box. The one was whether Webber's offers any bursaries to students. And then the other was from Nomkosi, who wanted to ask, she says she wants to work as a corporate legal advisor. And is it necessary to do articles in order to be employed as a corporate legal advisor?
Okay, so I can address the first question. Maybe Reshma can take the second. So we do offer bursaries, and usually, so going forward, when you submit an application to us for articles, we will ask you, do you have a financial need? And then you state that then we will evaluate in the same application, just to avoid you having to apply for multiple different things and having to keep track of different deadlines. So yes, we do offer bursaries, and when you apply to us, just kind of state in your application that you are looking for a scholarship.
Okay. In terms of the second question, I'm not 100% sure if I understand the question correctly. Just, you just correct me if I'm not addressing your question. Sure. But I think if you want to work as a corporate legal advisor, I'm assuming, you want to go into the legal team into a company, in which, I mean, a lot of people do that. So, but the way I understand you go into it is that you would do your articles, complete your articles, and then you don't have to stay in a law firm after that. You go into the, into one of the corporates and you join the legal team there. And a lot of people do choose to that. Increasingly, there are more and more people who want to go that route. But as I understand it, you do your articles and then you go and get a job out in corporate in the legal teams.
Yes, I think that's absolutely correct. I mean, it obviously depends on each corporate and what their criteria are. But if you do want to give formal legal advice or draft legal papers or appear in court on behalf of that corporate, you do need to be admitted as an attorney. You can't be giving legal advice or appearing in court or drafting formal papers, just as a layperson, as a person who hasn't been admitted as a legal professional. So if you're interested in joining corporate as a lawyer, you would need to do your articles and get admitted first.
Yeah.
I mean, then I see there's another question. Sorry, Reshma, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to add, Warren, that, I always say to young people, it's 24 months of your life. And you do it for 24 months, and it's amazing the opportunities. Once you've qualified, it's amazing the opportunities that open up for you. So make, even if you don't think you want to be in a law firm for the rest of your life, and that's perfectly okay, but take the 24 months, make the most out of it, and open those doors for your future career.
No, absolutely. I'd support that 100%. It really does open up doors for you to have that formal qualification. And I guess it rounds out your legal education. Here at university, we provide you largely with the academic side, but your legal education doesn't end at law school. It continues into the law firm where you get the practical education. So it's really by, I think, completing the practical side that you've completed your education as a lawyer. There's another, I think, quite fascinating question, and that is about public interest law. So does your firm, only focus on the commercial side of law, or does it also offer, public law, public interest matters, I guess kind of pro bono work, constitutional litigation, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so we do actually have a really big public law practice. So obviously their focus is on the constitutional litigation. Some of the partners there is Pralisha Singh, Mzuki Sikota. And so yeah, have a look at, I'll put their names in the chat. You can have a look at that. And we do also have a pro bono practice as well. Our CAs do sometimes rotate into pro bono to have that opportunity to just get exposure. So we do understand that not everyone's kind of their interest in, some of them may feel that they want to, eventually end up in pro bono. So we do offer that opportunity. It is one of the leading pro bono practices in the country. So yeah, definitely have a look at both those practice areas on our site. I'm going to put in some names into the chat.
Thanks. Yeah, that's what I thought was such a good question. I knew that Webber Windsor had a big pro bono department, a big pro bono division. So yeah, really a great question. And I think true of many of the larger firms is that they offer pro bono work. And again, I think that it's interesting for students to know that there are various career paths. So you can go into corporate, or as we heard in the previous presentation, you can go into the commercial field or insurance, but also pro bono work as well. And we'll hear a bit more about that in our next presentation. Just one or two last points. I wanted to say that I really thought that policy of yours of linking a first-year CA with the second year really sounds fantastic. What a nice way to, in a sense, mentor, guide a person through their first year of being an article clerk. And then in addition, I wanted to ask you a question that really comes from my side. Something that's a bit more personal. And that is, I often get asked at around about this time of the year to write reference letters for students who are applying for articles. And I was just wondering what sort of role those reference letters play, and what you would be looking for. So what sort of information would be helpful to you as a recruiter or an employer in a reference letter?
So I think we use the reference letters for two things. We normally, so you would know that the LPC used to do the fit and proper interviews as part of the registration process for the candidate attorneys, which they've now done away with. So what we do use those reference letters for is to submit as supporting documentation to register our candidate attorneys with the Legal Practice Council. They normally either look for an academic reference to say that this person is, academically strong, or just fit and proper from that perspective, or they look for a character reference if you know the student in a social capacity. And I suppose we also just use that from not necessarily a screening perspective, but just for us to be able to gauge a little bit about the student. But most importantly, we do use it to register them for the articles, because the LPC won't accept the registration documents without the reference letters.
Right. Oh, that's interesting to know. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so they
and
do,
we do
they
really
do have that
value
practical.
the opinions of the people at the university. So
that's good
we
to
do
hear.
read them, yeah.
Great. That's super. All right. I don't see much, too many other questions in the chat. I don't know if there's anything in the Q&A. Let's have a quick look.
I see there's a question around cumulative average of 60% because of circumstances beyond your control, like working and studying. Look, like I said, we do look at applications holistically. So please don't feel that you can't apply to us if those are your reasons. We would look at, please also make sure that you put your work experience on your CV. Don't exclude it, even if it's not legal related. We look at an entire CV, what you've been doing in addition to studying, and it really gives us a sort of initial view of you as a person and what else you've been doing besides just studying, whether it's working or involved in leadership roles. So, yeah.
Great. Well, thanks very much. I think our time has now come to an end. So it just remains for me to say thanks very much for joining us again. We really appreciate it, and I'm sure the students have found it very useful. I know that you're going to stay around for a bit longer, and we will have an open session towards the end where students will be able to hopefully come on live and ask whatever other questions they have. but I think we'll need to move on to our next presentation. So thanks very much, Suyuri and Rashmi. That was great.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bye.
So bye-bye. So according to our schedule, the next presentation was supposed to be from Fatshwane Henny Attorneys, but they have simply submitted a video. They weren't able to make somebody available to take questions or answer them. So we're going to reverse the order a little bit of the program. So we're going to go now to pro bono. And then once we've given pro bono an opportunity, we'll then come back to show the video from Fatshwane Henny Attorneys. And then we'll open it up to any in-person or live questions students might have at the end. So let me then turn to welcome what is now our third presenter, and that is Nicole Dianant from probono.org. So Nicole is a UKZN graduate, and it's always nice to have a graduate come back. So we're very thrilled to have you here, Nicole. And Nicole did work in private practice after she finished her LLB, but she really found her passion and where she wants to be in the legal field when she joined probono.org. And Nicole is now the acting regional director for the organization, and she has a strong passion for creating access to justice and legal service. So Nicole, as I said, we're very pleased to have you here. Always nice to be able to welcome a UKZN graduate back. And please go ahead and make your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Prof. Friedman. I'm not too sure why my camera is not working. I have turned it on, but it's blank. So I'm just going to continue with my presentation and I will share my screen. I'm just going to turn my video off so you guys can see my name. Okay, please confirm that everyone can see my screen and my slideshow.
Yes, we can, Nicole.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, everyone, as Prof. Friedman did say,
Nicole, sorry to interrupt, but if you could just put it on the slideshow presentation format.
Okay, how do I do that? Sorry, I'm just trying to. It's at the bottom here.
Slideshow on top.
Yes.
Slideshow on top. Slideshow, no, above.
Okay, let me see.
Slideshow.
Oh, here, sorry. Yes, I can see it's blocked on my screen. There we go.
Yes. Perfect.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, so my name is Nicole Dianant. I am the acting regional director at probono.org, the Durban office. And before I begin with my presentation, I just want to let the third years and the fourth year students know that we are very proud of them and to congratulate them for getting so far in their LLB degree. I know from experience that an LLB degree is not easy. It was one of the most difficult 4 years of my career. And so I just want to tell you guys, with the pandemic and with the restrictions and the lockdown and the changes that has been happening, to just continue and stay headstrong and just continue being dedicated to your studies and to your education, because it does really pay off at the end. Okay. Oh, sorry guys, I'm not too sure why it's doing this. Okay, I'm going to have to exit the slideshow, sorry, and just use it like this because it seems to be playing the recording behind. I'll just go through the next slide. Okay, so how does pro bono work? We are a clearinghouse and we provide free legal representation to ordinary people who approach us with their legal issues. So we help clients with their everyday legal issues on a pro bono basis. They do not pay any fees to the organizations or to the attorneys that assist them with their matters, okay? How we source this free legal assistance is that firms, private practice law firms, join our panel. They indicate what types of matters they want to take on. And then when we get clients that approach us, for legal assistance, for example, for a housing law matter or an unlawful eviction, we then refer that client to one of the attorneys on our panel. And the attorney on our panel takes on the matter pro bono, and no fees are paid for this instruction. Okay, so with that knowledge, I want to encourage each and every student that is watching today that when you are an attorney and you join a firm, or if one day you open up your own firm, to do and take on pro bono matters and take on matters where you're assisting the community. We know that there's no, in terms of the LPC Act, there's no stipulated hours any longer, but there is an indication that community work needs to be done. And taking on matters for people that cannot otherwise afford it, is a great way to give back to the community. So the types of matters that we assist with are constitutional and human rights law, family law, deceased estates matters, housing law, consumer law, labor law, small claims court matters, and refugee matters. So it's quite a large and amount of practice areas that we cover in the legal fraternity. Matters that we do not deal with are criminal law matters, RAF matters, medical negligence matters, motor vehicle accidents, and monetary claims. So this you can see compared to what we take on in the matters that we don't do is quite a restricted list. We do cover way more matters than the matters that we don't do. Okay, so how we assist people. So we used to do in-house consultations, and we are slowly going back to those consultations being done at our offices. But during the pandemic, we have stopped holding weekly help desks and we're assisting clients telephonically. So we consult with clients on a daily basis and we provide them with legal assistance. We are slowly going back to opening up our help desks, and we made ourselves accessible to the community. We have help desks in various communities, including Chatsworth, Umlazi, Ntuzuma, Verulam, Pinetown, and Durban Central. So we cover a large basis, of the KZN area with our help desk, where clients can go and consult absolutely free. We also host community workshops and attorney webinars, and this is there to provide education and uplifting community. So we go out into the community, we give legal talks, we hand out pamphlets, we teach community about their rights and their responsibilities. And even for attorneys, so we have attorney webinars where we host on Microsoft Teams, so it's now online. Webinars where attorneys can come and we choose a topic and we educate and teach them on how to do it and give practical experience. And our speakers are attorneys on our panel. So if attorneys are part of our panel, they're given and they have many years of experience and a lot of in-house knowledge, we give them an opportunity to share that with younger professionals, and which includes candidate attorneys and PAs and even junior counsel, attend our webinars to learn and just get to know and understand the law more, and also learn a more practical get a more practical understanding of the law. We also run a wills project. So at our organization, we provide advice and guidance on how to get your will done and how to draw your will. And we also, surprisingly enough, draw wills for senior citizens all year round for free. So any senior citizen that has a small estate that needs to draw their will, they come to us and we do this for free. We do not charge them any amount of money, and we go ahead, draft their will, explain it to them, print it for them, give them a copy, teach them how to sign it and where to store it and things like that. We have an NGO and NPO project, and this is where we assist other NGOs and NPOs who don't necessarily have legal resources on hand. So that is where our organization comes in, and we provide them with this legal representation and the legal expertise that they need, to meet their needs. And this comes from our panel. So just an understanding, a little more explanation into what we do. So for our small claims court and consumer law help desk, we advise clients on if they have claims or if someone is claiming from them, we help them with their small claims court process to complete the forms, and we show them, how to finalize a summons or the letter of demand. And any matters to do with the Consumer Protection Act and the National Credit Act, we assist clients. For refugee law, we assist asylum seekers and refugees, and we also assist asylum seekers and refugees with appearing before the Refugee Appeal Board. You know, this can be quite daunting for some refugees and asylum seekers, and we provide this assistance pro bono. For labor law, we assist our clients with unfair dismissals, retrenchments, provident fund issues, and unfair labor practices, which is quite a wide range to cover under labor law. For housing, so this is one of our busier clinics. Any housing related issues, and we saw a spike in these in this housing clinic numbers when COVID hit, because people were losing their jobs and weren't able to pay rent. And so we assist, you know, landlords and tenants with issues. We try to mediate for them and come to some sort of an arrangement. And if they need representation, we also provide representation. At the master's office, we assist our clients with transferring of properties, reporting estates, but you must remember that our organization is pro bono and we assist the marginalized community. So the value of an estate needs to be 250,000 Rand and below. And unfortunately, if a client's property is above that, we are not able to provide that assistance. Lastly, our family law help desk, also a very, very busy help desk. As you can see on the screen, there's so many things that we assist clients with, and filling in forms, general advice, mediation, maintenance, protection orders. It's a large basis that we cover under family law. So now I'm getting to the part where the students should, you know, really pay attention, because this is quite important. So we offer a volunteer program where LLB students from their third year of their studies and above can come to our organization and get experience from us. So the program has had temporarily stopped during the pandemic, but we have had discussions on opening up the project again from the middle of this year or towards the end of the year. So this is where students can come into our offices. They arrange with us a date and a time for 3 weeks that they can come in, and they shadow our staff attorneys, they shadow our interns, they sit in on our consultations, they attend our community seminars, they attend our community webinars, they sit in on our world consults. So each and every help desk that we have, the students can come, you know, shadow the attorneys, shadow the legal professionals in the private practice that work with us. And the amount of experience that students get at our volunteer program is, you know, I can't even put a figure to it. That's how great it is, because we don't obviously allow you to consult with the clients, but you sit in on so many consults. We see our housing and family law, and even our deceased estates help desk used to see about between 30 and 40 clients per day, and students get to sit in on each and every one of those consults. We show them how to help the clients fill in forms, what forms to look for, how to conduct a consult etiquette, talking on the phone with clients, filling in forms, file taking, note taking, recording of all these things. So students get a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful practical experience at our organization when they volunteer. Unfortunately, there is no stipend that we offer for volunteers, which this is still in discussions with our national team. So for the moment, there is no stipend, but as I'm saying, this may change with time once our national team, looks at funding and can then give a final answer. But for now, volunteers just come and, arrange with us a date and a time for the middle of the year, and we give explanations, consults, webinars, seminars, events, all the things that our interns attend. The volunteers can come through as well. We do offer 2 internships at the Durban office. So I must stress to students that this is not articles. You do not register your articles with probono.org. That is why we call it an internship program. So it's a 1-year contract that LLB graduates can apply for at the end of the year. So for 2023, we will put out our vacancy at the end of 2022. So you send through your CV, and this is sort of the bridge between when you're done with your LLB degree and you are not able to find articles, or you feel like you're not ready to, to get into articles, and you spend a year with our organization, this is an internship. There is a stipend that is paid to the interns, and it is a 1-year contract. But once again, students, it is not articles. So this year that you spend with us does not go towards your article 24 months, unfortunately. I've also included our contact details. So should any of the students or, anybody that's on here know someone that requires legal assistance, I urge you to take a picture or a screenshot, your screen, and just keep our details and hand it out to as many community members as you know. Share it if you'd like on your WhatsApp statuses, just so community members have access to us and can reach us. That is it for now for my presentation. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Nicole. So really well done, partly on coping with the change in the schedule and also with the technical difficulties. I know that can always throw a person. Certainly doing things online has many advantages. One of their disadvantages is the technology doesn't always do what we want it to do. So well done to you for taking that in your stride and making such a great presentation. It was so interesting. There are a couple of questions, so let me pose them to you, and then hopefully as we talk, more questions will come along. So we have 2 questions really about the volunteer program. I think students are very interested in that. And 2 of the questions are the same. They want to know how to apply. So how does one apply for the volunteer program?
Okay, so I will put my email address in the chat, and students can send me an email and we can arrange a time. But I just want to remind the students that our volunteer program for the first quarter of the year is not opened as yet, but we will be opening it up, or hopefully opening it up in the second part of the year. So if students maybe, are completing their degree halfway through the year and want to spend the second half of the year sometime with us, they're more than welcome to do that. I will include my email address in the chat.
Thanks, that'd be perfect. And then did I understand you correctly to say that it's really the actual 3 weeks that students will spend with you? That's an arrangement you make between yourselves and the students. So it's not a set time of the year. It's kind of flexible as to when they'll come down and join your office.
Yes, absolutely. The students can, we work with their schedule and ours, and it's every 3 weeks, or, however much time that the students can spend with us, it's not the same. So each student will never get the same experience, Some people may come at a time when we have 4 and 5 events and, 30 and 40 clients coming into the office, and then another student will come and it's only maybe 15 to 20, and we have one event. So each experience, we just continue with our regular everyday work, and we incorporate the students with us. They shadow the attorneys in-house, they shadow the interns in-house, they shadow our panel attorneys in-house. So each experience, is different for each student.
Yes, no, I think that shadowing is an absolutely fabulous idea and really a great way to learn about the law in practice. So that's absolutely brilliant. Then I think a student also asked, another question was whether you're only based in Durban or whether you have offices up here in Pietermaritzburg as well.
Okay, so unfortunately, we do not have offices in PMB. We are only based in Durban. We do have offices in Johannesburg and Cape Town. So if students are thinking of relocating, they're more than welcome to, just look for our organization online. We do have a website, and get the Johannesburg details and get the Cape Town details, just to send those offices as well, an email to try and go and volunteer with them if they want.
Yes, and then I think closely linked to that is the student asks, well, if they do want to volunteer to your office in Durban, but they're obviously not located either close to your office or in Durban itself. I mean, is there any assistance with transport to and from your offices?
So, Prof, unfortunately, at the moment, there is not. Students must remember we are also an NPO, so we are not able to provide, a stipend for travel. But this has come up in many of our, internal meetings, and it is being discussed. But for now, unfortunately, there isn't any stipend available for volunteers.
No, that's totally understandable, especially with a pro bono organization. But linked to that, there was also a question from a student who was quite interested to know where you do get your funding from, since you're not charging your clients, and that if somebody does get employed with pro bono, how that salary compares, for example, with being employed in a commercial firm or you know, another private law firm, I guess. Private law.
You know, Prof, that's quite a funny question. Pro bono work has to be a passion. It has to come from your heart. You know, you cannot expect the same pay that attorneys get in a private practice where you can charge attorney-client costs to a pro bono attorney. So us at the organization does receive external funding, and we're also really grateful for private practices that are part of our panel. They make most of what we do possible, because these are private practices that are on our panel. And when clients come to us, we have an attorney in-house that will do the initial consult. And when that client needs representation, it goes to one of our panel attorneys. You know, they tell us we can do this type of work and we refer it to them. So pro bono employees are funded by various organizations, and then the work that gets done is done by our panel attorneys, who give their time, and give their billable hours to our pro bono clients, which we're very grateful for.
Yeah, no, you do have to be passionate about it. It's a bit like that in academia. Salaries certainly don't match those at the top of the legal profession. You have to be passionate about researching the law. Then I see that a couple of other questions have popped up. A student wants to know whether it applies to third and fourth year students, the volunteer program.
Okay, so the volunteer program, yes, you have to be in your third year or above. The internship, you have to be an LLB graduate.
Right. And then I see Shivani has asked the question. She wants to know what documents do you require when you're applying for the volunteer work as part of your application?
Okay, so there are some documents that we do require. When the candidate does send me an email, we send them a list, but it's general documents like your CV, a copy of your ID, a copy of your academic record. It's just a volunteer program, but, at the organization, funnily enough, many of our volunteers, become our interns, and even when a staff attorney position opens up for a staff attorney, someone who has volunteered at the organization, then has been an intern, gone on to do their articles, and is now looking for, for a job as an attorney, you would be shocked at the number of times that someone who's been with the organization before gets hired, as a permanent staff member. So it's really good. So when the students send me an email or a request, I will request the documents, but it's nothing too hectic. It's normal CV and copy of ID.
That sounds great. And then I see Theshaya has asked a question. She says many law firms are doing virtual vacation programs. Would you consider volunteers who wish to assist virtually?
Okay, so that is a good question. And I do understand with the changing times why virtual vacation programs would be good for private practice law firms. At probono.org, unfortunately, we deal with the really marginalized community. So they have to physically come into our offices. We can't virtually consult with them because they would need a laptop, they would need data, they would need access to all of these things. And most of our clients are old, don't know how to use these things. And so they also prefer face-to-face in-house consults with us. So where we can, do these virtual consults, we do, but it's not enough to hold an entire program. A student's just going to be sitting on the screen the whole day. And so unfortunately, clients come in. The best experience a volunteer can get is if they come through to our organization and sit, with us in our consultations.
Yes, absolutely. And as you explained earlier, your methodology is really to have the volunteers shadow your attorneys.
Yes.
So difficult to shadow, I guess, online. Let's see if there's any, student asked for the email address, but I see that's up. And then Lindiwe asked a bit earlier, I'm not sure if you can answer this question. I might give it a go as well, but are there any legal careers a student can pursue that doesn't require taking articles?
Sorry, Prof. We also have Sayuri and Seshni still with us. Yes. So ladies, please feel free to join in answering the questions.
Thanks, Hazel. That's a good reminder and a good suggestion.
Yes, Seshni is my colleague, but I'm sure she'd want me to handle the questions. With regards, okay, so students must remember that when you complete your LLB degree, you are not an attorney. You are an LLB graduate, but to be admitted as an attorney, to be able to get your right of appearance in court, to be able to practice as an attorney, you would have to do your 2 years of articles and then write your board exams, and then you get admitted as an attorney. You must remember that your principal has to depose to an affidavit confirming that you have completed your articles with them. And so I think that if you think you want to go into the corporate world, I would suggest to all students to still do their articles, because you never know what would happen. You know, in our changing economy, changing times, in 2 or 3 years' time, if you want to join practice, you'll have to complete your articles first in any event to be admitted as an attorney. So I know an LLB degree is 4 years, and I know many of the older people in the profession say it's a 7-year degree, because you have to do your articles, you have to do your degree, do your articles, write your board exams, then get admitted. And that is actually where your career in the profession begins, is once you are admitted as an attorney. And I also heard earlier a question raised by a student about just going straight to the bar. That, I think, my personal opinion on this is that the best thing to do is to complete your articles. And even if you want to practice for a year or get some experience, because when you join the bar, you, as you said, Prof, you are instructed by attorneys. But if you have never worked as an attorney before, you will never understand the terms that attorneys use. If a matter is adjourned sine die, service and filing, things like that. If you have never been an attorney or worked as a candidate attorney and you join the bar, it's really doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, the only point I would add to that is certainly, I've certainly known of students in the past or colleagues in the past who studied an LLB degree, not with the intention of becoming lawyers, but really of going into business. They thought that an LLB degree and knowing about how the law works, and especially commercial law, would help them in the world of business. And there, obviously, you wouldn't need articles. But I think at any career where you want to offer legal advice, proper legal advice, or draft documents or appear in court, you really do need to complete your articles and be admitted as an attorney. So yeah. I think that I would certainly support that advice 100%, is to try and do your articles, finish both your academic and practical legal education, and then really the world is open to you. It opens many, many doors. I see there were 1 or 2 other questions about the volunteer program. One student asked, is the office that you apply to, so if you apply to the Durban office, will you do the volunteer program in the Durban office? Or if you apply in the Cape Town office, will you do your volunteer program in the Cape Town office? Or could they offer you a volunteer program in one of the offices that you didn't apply to?
Okay, so each office has its own set of rules, unfortunately, and we are governed by different LPC rules. So if you are in Durban, I suggest that you apply directly to the Durban office. And if you are in Johannesburg or Cape Town, you apply directly to those offices. If you get it mixed up and apply to the wrong office, we will direct you and say, hey, you actually based here, this is who you should contact in that office, and they will be able to advise you further or better.
Okay, now that is very useful to know. And then I see that there are a couple of, I suppose, more general questions, again, about what, I think it's the DWA again, what you can do with your LLB degree if you're not interested in appearing in court. So the question is, what about if you're interested in the field of law, but you do not wish to make any court appearances and so on? Hence the question about possible careers without them. If I understood correctly, if you study for the LLB degree, you are limited to being either an attorney or an advocate. Nicole, I don't know if you want to give that one a bash as well, or any of the other panelists.
Sure, no problem, Prof. I would try. There are careers in the law profession that do not require any court appearances. Compliance officers are attorneys, but I know many compliance officers as well who have completed their articles, done their LLB, did their compliance course, got admitted, did their compliance course, and now they're office bound, you know. I myself actually worked at LexisNexis as a legal researcher for some time. That is a completely office bound job, research bound. So there are, there are options that you would have to explore before you find your particular niche, you know. So each student, I think what they should do, what you should concentrate on right now is completing your LLB, completing your articles, getting admitted, and then see where you fit into the profession. You know, you're never going to know just from being at campus and university where you will fit in the legal profession.
No, that's absolutely correct. I mean, it is true that the legal profession is only divided into two branches, an attorney or an advocate. So if you want to practice law, you do have to be either an attorney or an advocate. There are no other branches to practicing law. But with an LLB degree, and even with articles or being admitted as an advocate, there are many other careers that involve law that don't really require the practice of law. So as Nicole pointed out, legal publishing, even being an academic, going into business. So there certainly are many things you can do with an LLB degree that don't involve the direct practice of law. But if you want to practice law on a day-to-day basis, which doesn't necessarily mean only going to court, it could mean drafting contracts, giving advice, winding up estates, dealing with insolvencies, conveyancing, and so on, you do need to be admitted as an attorney for most of those tasks, or if you want to appear in court, to be admitted as a advocate. So I think that I see our time has come to an end. There are still a couple of questions, but what we'll do is we'll try and answer those in the general session after the final presentation. But it just remains for me to say thank you so much, Nicole. That was terribly interesting. I think what's been very useful about this particular session is it has shown to some extent the different avenues open to LLB graduates. So not just simply, the private commercial firms, but the corporate world, pro bono work, and so on. So thank you very much. That has been particularly helpful. But yes, I know that you are going to stay around for a bit longer. And I'm sure we'll be able to address some of the questions we haven't answered at this point in that open, I guess we can call it an open mic session at the end.
Thank you,
So
Prof. Thanks, Prof. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, guys.
So our final presentation then is from Fatshwane Henny Attorneys. As I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, they were unable to make anyone available to talk about the firm or to take questions, but they did very kindly provide us with a promotional video. So we're going to watch the video now, and then after that, we'll move to the open mic session where we can talk about, where we can try and answer the questions we haven't answered yet, and then address any other issues or concerns that you might have. So if we can switch over to the video. Thanks so much, Hazel. So yes, as I said, what we're going to move into now is a kind of open mic session. I have picked up a couple of questions that we didn't get a chance to answer in the chat box. So let me go through them. So let me pose the first one to Subhashini. Subhashini, I see one of the students has asked whether the PPS bursary for this year, I think, is open at the moment. So is PPS bursary currently open for 2022? Subhashini, are you still with us?
Colleagues are not with us anymore, Prof, but we will take this question and pose it to them and then respond to the student.
Okay, so the student was Nazipa. Nazipa, we'll try to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Then let me pose the next two questions to Sayuri and Reshma. So I see a student has asked whether practical legal training, if you do practical legal training, does that reduce the period of articles by a year? I know it used to at one point, but I haven't kept up, so I'm not sure if it does now. And then they also asked a question about conveyancing. So so obviously does your firm do conveyancing? And then what requirements do you need to do to satisfy in order to become a conveyancer? So Sayuri or Reshma?
Hi, yeah, thanks for Friedman. So yes, PLT, if you do PLT on a full-time basis, which is also something we encouraged, I saw there was someone asking about not securing articles. So if you happen to be in a situation where you don't secure articles, PLT is a really good option for you to do in that space of that year that you may have. If you do your PLT on a full-time basis, you can, the LPC does allow for you to reduce your articles to 1 year. However, just bear in mind that some of the big law firms will ask you to still do the 2 years of articles with them, just for your benefit to be able to do the rotations, to be able to sort of give you a full view of where you actually want to practice in. So you may do the 2 years of articles internally with the firm. However, for that, technically you'll be able to get admitted after a year of articles. And then with regards to conveyancing, we do have a real estate department, so or real estate practice. We do offer our candidate attorneys the option to write the notary exam after they've passed their board exams. But with regards to conveyancing, unless there's kind of a particular business need for our real estate team, we then would offer you the opportunity to write the conveyancing exam. That is separate from your board exams. So you will need to write your board exams to be admitted, and then complete there is training, compulsory training you have to complete, or compulsory course, and then you write your conveyancing exams.
Great. And Sayuri, I see there's a follow-up question with that. It says, is it better to do PLT before or after your 2 years of articles?
So just remember, PLT is compulsory for you to be admitted as an attorney. So you can't do it after your articles. So if you're going to join one of the law firms to do your articles, you're going to have to do PLT to be admitted, to be able to write board exams, and then to be admitted. So just bear that in mind. I think you'll really rarely find a situation where you're doing your articles and allowed to not do PLT and board exams.
So there's a difference, if I remember correctly, between a full-time PLT and then kind of part-time PLT. So if you don't secure articles, for example, you can do full-time PLT for a year, and then that reduces your articles. But if you get a 2-year articles contract, then you'll do PLT part-time as part of the
as part of our program.
Yes.
That's right.
And then I just wanted to ask you a question about that. I know it's one that's, again, I've been asked previously, is when do you expect students to actually write their board exams? Must they write them in the first year? Do they write them all together?
So I think the different firms do have different policies around how many exams they are required to write and so on. But we normally have our students or our candidate attorneys do bulk of their PLT hours during the induction program. So for about a month, they're literally sitting in PLT training, and then they do continue with PLT up until about just before August. So they are required to write, to sit and write in the August sitting of each year, because that gives them enough time. For example, if they don't pass one of the papers, they can then sit in the second year of articles for the March sitting.
Great. And then I see another question related to PLT, and that is where is PLT offered?
So we've got an in-house course that our learning and development team does run. So if you do want to register for full-time PLT, you need to contact LEAD to be able to do that. So I'm going to put that in the chat. And you register via LEAD in order to do your PLT on a full-time basis, or we liaise with LEAD from an internal perspective. That's why we have an internal program. Yeah.
No, thanks very much. That's very helpful. And then Nicole, I see there was a question about somebody wanted your email address, but I see that you have put that in, so that's fabulous. And then another PLT question, and that is there any funding for PLT?
So, I mean, if you secure articles with us, no, you don't have to pay for PLT because it's in-house. We run it internally for candidate attorneys. I think it's similar with all the other law firms. We do also have a certain number. I think it's about 10 or 15 external candidate attorneys who aren't necessarily doing the articles at Webber Wentzel, but they may be at a different firm that don't offer in-house PLT. And if you apply to us early enough, we can include you in our in-house PLT program.
Yes. And if I remember correctly, I think if you haven't secured articles and you're doing it full time, then I think you do pay for PLT.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm not sure if there's funding that. You'll have to contact, I guess, LEAD itself to find out. So I can't see any other questions.
Let's take any live questions, Prof, if there are students within the next 10 minutes, and then we can close.
Thanks, Hazel. That's a great suggestion. So students, it's really open to you. If you have any live questions you'd like to ask, this is a great opportunity. If you'd like to follow up on any question that you asked, this is also an opportunity to do so.
You just need to put your hand up, and then we will open the mic for you.
So I see we do have another question in the chat box. So let me pose that question before we go to live. And that is, again, I think it was asked earlier this morning, but it's useful to repeat it now. And that is whether it's necessary to have a driver's license and your own vehicle as a requirement for articles.
So no, definitely not from our perspective. I know at some point some of the law firms used to have that as a requirement, but I know the Legal Practice Council has changed the act as well, where you aren't allowed to, no law firms actually allowed to ask you to have a driver's license or your own vehicle. I think it's pretty convenient nowadays to travel via Uber and all these things. So definitely not a requirement to be able to do your articles.
Yes, that's what I understood as well. It's now, in fact, been legally abolished as a requirement. And then just a sort of general question, I think yeah, well, let me open this one up generally, and that is, if somebody wants to join the National Prosecuting Authority, so instead of going into, I suppose, working in a private organization, you want to join the state and become a prosecutor, what are the requirements for that? I'm not sure myself, but if there is anyone from the panel who knows the requirements for joining the National Prosecuting Authority, that would be very helpful.
I'm going to have to pass on that one. I don't want to give out the wrong information.
Not a problem, colleagues. I will send this question to our colleagues from the NPA and ask them to respond, because the questions are recorded. So I'll be able to respond to the student later.
Thanks, Hazel. That'll be very useful. And then I think there are two I think quite interesting questions, ones that I haven't heard before. So the first one is are law firms entitled to charge students to do articles with them? I think I know the answer to that one. It'll be interesting to hear what you have to say. And then secondly, apart obviously from the firms who participate in Law Professionals Day, or apart from the large firms, how should students in fact identify firms that offer articles? I certainly know in the past there used to be Hortons, which listed all of the attorneys in South Africa. I don't know if that's still available, but I guess the question is, how do you find the contact details of those firms of attorneys who are offering articles, or where are articles advertised?
Yeah, so just on the first question, definitely not. Please don't sign with the firm which charges you for articles. You should
That's what I thought the answer was.
you should be paid to, while you are doing your articles, you should get a salary. And just with regards to the other firms, yeah, I think you're right. You will find a lot of the bigger firms maybe on campus more often. There are a lot of medium-sized as well as small size firms that will also offer articles. Please just use your resources in terms of the internet and as well as your career services centers on campus. They will know and have quite a comprehensive list of the different law firms, and use LinkedIn. I can't stress this enough. LinkedIn is a great source of just information for your career, especially as you're starting out. So you'll be able to find the website of the law firms. You'll be able to find people who work at those law firms, and you can reach out to them directly. And yeah, I think if you Google as well, you'll easily find a list of the top 10 or 20 law firms in the country. So just do your research, and there's a wealth of information out there. You'll definitely be able to find a lot of information of the different law firms who offers articles, and you'll find lots of contact details of people on LinkedIn and so on.
No, thanks. And as Robin has posted on the chat, it turns out that Hortus is available online. And of course, there's the Attorneys Magazine Day Rebus. Sometimes you'll find advertisements either for candidate attorneys or attorneys in Day Rebus. And I believe that that's online as well. And then I see that we have a question again about becoming a prosecutor, but we'll have to get back to you. We'll have to get back to you on that one. We're just not entirely clear of what the, oh, sorry, I think there's a student who says he's done some research, and you might be able to answer. So I don't know if you want to come on live and tell us what you've discovered from your research.
What is the name of it?
Nhlakanipo, I think it is.
The name again?
I think it's in Nhlakanipo.
Nhlakanipo.
He says he's done some research and might be able to answer the question.
Nhlakanipo Ngema. Okay, Nhlakanipo, you can go ahead. Please unmute.
Oh, thank you so much. Can I be heard?
Yes, Nhlakanipo, thanks so much for volunteering to explain it to us. We appreciate it. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Once you have received once you have completed your LLB degree, you can then apply for aspirant program that the applications for that program opens from March to May. And then what you'll have to do after you have made your application, you'll be called for an interview. And then before the interview, there is an entry exam that you'll have to write, which constitutes of the interpretation of statutes as criminal procedure and some parts of criminal law. So you have to pass that entry exam, and then the program will run for the period of a year. After you've passed that exam, you'll then be called by the NPA to go for an interview where you will be working as a prosecutor to any district court. So you'll work there for the period of 3 years until you'll be able to be relocated. Thank you.
Thanks, Nhlakanipo. That was very helpful, and appreciate you coming on to share your knowledge with us. So I see a couple of other questions that pop up, but I think that they're ones that we have covered before or have been answered in the chat. Also see that we're at about 5 minutes to 2, so I think that this might be, Hazel, would this be a good time to draw the session to a close?
Yes, please, Prof. And then just to encourage students that we have different firms tomorrow, same time, and the list is on our Facebook page, on our law website, so they can take a look. We have the likes of Bowman's, McRoberts Attorneys, Allen Overy, the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. They're joining us for the first time. We have Moniford Attorneys. We have J. Leslie Smith and Company, Stowell and Co., Livingston Liendi, Worksman's Attorneys, as well as Legal Aid.
Thanks, Hazel. Yes, that's very useful. And I do encourage students to join us tomorrow. It sounds like it's going to be a great day. So it just remains then for me to close the session. So I first want to thank the participating organizations and presenters. We greatly appreciate the time you've taken out of your busy schedules to engage with us, and especially with our students. Also just want to congratulate you on your presentations. I thought that they were very informative, they were very professional, and they were a pleasure to watch. I've no doubt that our students found everything you had to say very informative and helpful, and I certainly learned a couple of new things. I think I've said this a couple of times during the session today. Although we in the law school are responsible for the academic training of our students, you are responsible for the practical side, and we are committed. We're committed to assisting our students in completing their practical training, but we wouldn't be able to fulfill that commitment if it wasn't for your participation in days like this and your relationship and assistance to the law school. So thank you very much for that as well. Then I also wanted to thank our students for attending. I've been very impressed with the number that have attended. I know that we started with close to 300 this morning. It has dropped down to just below 100 now, but that's not surprising. So thank you very much, students. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it informative. I certainly think that your attendance has been great. And I also wanted to thank you for the questions that you've asked. I thought they were very interesting and very useful. I'm sure they'll go a long way towards helping you acquire articles. So thank you again for participating. And then finally, I just wanted to thank Hazel and the UKZN team. I know just how much work it is putting this program together, and especially this year where it's spread out over not only one day, but 2 days. I mean, I think you've done an excellent job. It really wouldn't happen without your efforts. This is, of course, the second year we've had to do it, and I think we can be pleased with the way it's going thus far. At the end of last year, so I also helped host last year's very first virtual Law Professions Day. At the end of that, I said that hopefully this year we would be back in person. Of course, we aren't, but I'm going to say it again. Hopefully next year we'll be back in person. So thank you very much. Enjoy your afternoons, and I'm going to hand over to Hazel just to finish off the day.
Thank you so much, Prof. Friedman, for directing the proceedings this afternoon. And I'd like to also thank our colleague Jacinta, who has left us now. I really appreciate everything that you did. I would also like to thank my colleagues from the ICS department, Kurt and Musa. Really, they do so much behind the scenes. We really appreciate all your support. And of course, our colleague from Pietermaritzburg, Robin Lowe, the one who started at Law Professions Day about 14 years ago. Well done, Robin. Thank you so much, colleagues. And I hope you all have a great afternoon. And we look forward to seeing students tomorrow at 10 o'clock until 2. We will have different law firms so that you can learn about opportunities available in those firms also.